I'm just going to go right into it. I'm going to blast off real quick and go right into it because, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot going on in the world, and we got to cover all of it because it's Monday Newsday. You already know what's up. I feel pretty replenished. I feel like, my energy's back up. I'm feeling pretty good. I love me a good Newsday, okay? I love me a good Monday Newsday. You already know what's going on. New York Times Siena poll shows Israel is over. Mallory McMorrow's interview on Matt Bernstein. Mallory McMorrow's Matt Bernstein / MR interview. Okay, we'll do that. Trump IRS lawsuit back to Iran, all the stuff. Musk is about to lose his lawsuit to OpenAI. I know we got the Musk AI lawsuit as well. Musk Altman lawsuit. New York City, Long Island. My favorite expressway railroad is striking. And people are, of course, doing anti-worker commentary and anti-worker propaganda in the process, as is expected. As always, they're like, public sector unions are disgusting. Yeah, you're disgusting, and you should shut the fuck up. You should never be allowed to speak ever again if that's the type of insane shit that's coming out of your fucking mouth. Okay, that's how I feel about it. Anyway, get in now, www.twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Harry Styles outed as an anti-Semitite and biggest Israel hater. Dude, chatters, look, I love you guys. I know this community has aged a little bit, but you really have to stop sending me Instagram links, okay? I'm sorry. You have to stop sending me Instagram links. I love that you guys subscribe to the Hasanabi broadcast, to the Piker Broadcasting Service, to the People's Broadcasting Service, and you support the show. And one of the amenities that you get, one of the privileges that you get when you subscribe to PBS is the opportunity to send me links. But I can't stand your fucking boomer asses for sending me Instagram links all the dang time. Okay, we got to stop. We got to put an end to that. No more Instagram links, please. Please stop. I can't stand it. It's just like, I don't know if it's my autism. I don't know if it's like OCD, but when I see a fucking Instagram link in the chat, it makes me want to laser you. Okay? I don't know why you do it. You love sending me Instagram links. Just send me fucking MySpace links at that point, man. Please. TikTok is fine. Twitter is fine. YouTube is great. Stop sending me Instagram links, okay? Bring it on, baby. Okay, take a second off. Take a second off. No Blue Sky links. No Instagram links. The NBA discourse is pushing new boundaries and comparisons. I can't see this. Instagram.com. You like that? No, I don't. Thank you for asking. I hate that. Okay? Yeah, I know. 70% dissatisfied with the Democrats. Shocker! Ladies and gentlemen, what a shocking revelation from the New York Times Siena poll. Who is the one who's been telling you that this shit is unsustainable? This shit is a whole lot of ass. I've been the one. Clipping the IG rent to share to my family. Haha. Blue Sky hate unwarranted. I think is somewhat warranted. Anyway, we're blasting off, ladies and gentlemen, and we're getting right into it. You already know what's up. You already know what's going on. We're going to talk about the New York Times Siena poll that just came out. What do I always say? What do I always say? You got to get nukes, but that's not what I'm saying this time, okay? What do I always say? You got to get nukes, number one. What do I always say? You got to be normal, number two. What do I always say? You are not carrying the flame. Just fucking stop sending me Instagram links. This is the day that Israel will be the most popular in the Western world. Tomorrow, Israel was more popular than it is today. The toothpaste is out of the tube, folks. The Pandora's box has opened. People liked your music reacts. What is this? Come on, dude. A fucking ballad? A love song to the European Union? I cannot think of a more Dutch song to come up with. I cannot come up with a more Eurovision song. This is satire in and of itself. I don't know why I really like this guy. I don't know what it is. Juiced Klein, there's something about his energy. I'm supposed to hate him. Like the way he looks, immediately I'm supposed to think, oh God, another fucking hipster. But there's something about his personality that comes across even in his like songs and the way he dances and the way he just like, I don't know, exists, that is very likable. And I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is, but it's very likable. I like him. Bill Maher wants you on the show.
Republican congressman on tonight.
Wait, what do you mean? Why haven't you interviewed? Who haven't you interviewed that you want to interview? Ironically, mostly Democrats because they're such pussies that won't come on the show. Anytime, any place, man.
Like, I'd only read about her. And then it's like, oh, if I'd only read about you, you're stupid, you're a hothead. She's not any of those things. We don't agree on many issues. But you know what? I always say it. Everybody's a monster till you talk to them.
Who haven't you interviewed that you want to interview?
Right. Ironically, mostly Democrats, like, because they're such pussies, they won't come on the show. Like the Clintons. Kamala, I voted for you. Really?
You haven't interviewed them yet?
I would love to. Democrats are pussies about like going anywhere that they're not already pre-adored. Not all of them.
He literally, this is him. I would step up to Bill Maher anytime, anytime, any place. Dude, this is so fucking annoying. Put me on Club Random, dude. It would be your most viewed episode. Let's be real. Except Israel. Anytime, any place, except Israel. Same with Josh Gottheimer. Okay? Same with Sean Hannity, who was down to do it. Your impression of him is accurate as fuck. He's not talking about you. He'd never have you. I know. Sean Hannity said he was going to do it and then fucking backed out. He's like, oh, we have to push this back. Push it back to when? Forever. A new Hasanabi edit hit the timeline. What the fuck is this? Why are you sending me this? This is scary. This is fucking weird as shit.
Dr. Jihad, Dr. Jihad.
Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. It was good. It was good. I recently I saw the clip of you trying to get into a Japanese restaurant bathroom on TikTok. Haha. Oh, nice. Okay, the edit was fire. It just like hit me in the face at first with like a strange, random Destiny sighting. It was weird. That's why I was like, oh, but it's fine. Are you eating yogurt in that clip? Wow, shirtless is on. Remember when you promised shirtless May for the 3rd year in a row? Yeah, I'm fat, bro. What do you want me to do? I haven't gotten back there yet. I will eventually get there though. That TwitchCon political debate show promo you made was so wild in hindsight. Yeah. Dr. Jihad. You got a BBC Persian article? Wait, what the fuck? I mean, this is like, this is an op. Hassan Piker, 34-year-old political commentator, holds American and Turkish citizenship and describes himself as a socialist. In recent months, he's criticized U.S. domestic and foreign policy in a sharp tone during live stream videos from his home in Los Angeles. Hassan Piker has gradually attracted a larger audience since 2016 with programs that are described as explicit and sometimes reckless, but at the same time entertaining. He's known on the Twitch platform as Hasanabi, Big Brother in Turkish, and now has approximately 10 million followers across various social networks. Isn't BBC Persian like, a little bit of an op? Am I crazy? I would assume that they would write not a very favorable article of me and claim that I'm this is the type of... Didn't they say something? Didn't they say you were a numbers guy? I'm a numbers guy. It's true. I'm a numbers guy. They got to stop using your beardless pics. I'm not going to lie. I think I look good. What's wrong with you? You don't think I look good in these photos? I think I look pretty good. It's a real Clark Kent ass look. Dude, I think I really like I really like Invincible because all of the Omni-Man folk, all the Viltrumites, they all have mustaches. You know? You look your age. Okay, that's not a very nice thing to say, I feel like, because my age is old. Today was my first day as a full-time attending physician. I work in your home state. Get ready to be showered with gifteds in a couple weeks. I listened to you all throughout residency, says Dr. Felipe. I cannot believe that this motherfucker is actually a fully fledged doctor now. That is crazy. I cannot believe it. They let Hasanabi heads become doctors. What a crazy thing. What a crazy thing. Are you around 28? Because you look 28. Thank you so much. Kisses to you, chatter. Mwah. Yeah, I know they're quoting the podcast saying I look my age. Anyway, all right. Got my PhD this weekend. Jesus Christ, dude. I can't believe it. I can't believe this goddamn community. We're everywhere, huh? We're everywhere, huh? Okay, so Hasanabi heads are fit to be dog catchers or doctors. True. You in Invincible? Oh, that's fire. Look what they need just to mimic a fraction of our power. This is fire. Simi Valley being evacuated right now? Wait, what happened? Season 4 Invincible review. Got my first DUI this weekend. We're all winning. Yeah, I mean, congratulations, chatter. Congratulations on your first DUI. I like that you said, I got my first DUI, implying that there's more to come. You know? Bro, gotta respect your chat. You being a loser doesn't make us all losers. That's crazy. That's kind of fucked up. Why you had to hit me with that? Why'd you have to hit me with that? Anyway. Folks! Yes, I watched the cute new fan animation yesterday, but I'll rewatch it again because I love it. Favorite. I mean, Sori is one of the best. She's goated. And I'm glad that she made another edit. Okay, checking Twitter on my laptop because it's not on my phone while I'm on the pooper. Okay, come downstairs.
Wait, you have your laptop on your lap while you're taking
I have a desk
shit?
in front of my bathroom.
Shut the... You have a desk in front of your toilet?
Yeah. You haven't seen it? I'll show you when we go upstairs.
How did I miss this?
It's not like a desk. It's like a side table.
He's got... He's in all men, there are two wolves. And I think you're letting the autistic one win.
Okay, checking Twitter on my laptop. I mean, it's true. That's so degenerate. No, I use it. Guys, it's not degenerate. Okay, hear me out. Listen. I use it as a side table when I'm in the bathtub. Okay? And my bathtub is next to the pooper. The freaking side table is next to the pooper. So, you know, when I'm crapping on the pooper, when I'm crapping on the toilet, I have the laptop on. It doesn't matter anymore because guess what? I have Twitter back on my phone anyway, so I don't even use my laptop to check Twitter anymore. So, yeah, dog, just use your phone like a normal person. What the hell? Okay, well, just a heads up. Yesterday, when watching the Ura video, you mixed up the Israeli org Zakah with the American org Zakah. The American one is very legit and unrelated to the Israeli one. Oh my God. I apologize. Thank you, Yehuda, for correcting me. Also, Golden Kappa Trade. Yes. Solo Blumkin Fap Top. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know that there was a distinction until you just informed me. I'm going to keep it $150 with you, big dog. I genuinely thought it was the same. I thought it was the same organization. That's crazy. Why did they do that? Why? That is, I thought it was the fucking raises. It has one extra A and an H, bro. It sounds the same. That's crazy. God damn, hype train is popping off. Did you see Mallory McCuomo say Iron Dome for Gaza? No. Also, my friend dressed up as Five-ish for Purim as a kid, Lamau. Unironically, that's incredible. Lever, addressing your autistic
Can I
habits.
tell
Please
you
address
what it's
this
like
next.
watching something with Hassan?
No, we're not going to do this right now. Okay, calm down. No, never get your phone out in the shit room. You put that thing next to your face. Okay, dude, I don't care. Okay, that's crazy. Five-ish is awesome. That's my favorite character. If I believed in Purim, I would also dress up as Five-ish. Okay, I would also do that. More people should do that. That's my take on Five-ish. Anyway, all right. Does Chatter know that their butthole is about 3 feet from their face? Yeah. Okay. Let's get started on what time it is. Hold on. Checking my watch. Oh, that's right. It's fuck Israel o'clock. Let's start there, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll get the Trump statement in Iran and all this other stuff. He's been popping off. He's like, it's a real will they, won't they situation with going back to war with Iran, because that's just what American politics is all about. Okay? That's what politics is all about. But there's a New York Times Siena poll that just came out. And let me tell you, okay, things are not looking too good for people's favorite emotional support apartheid state. Also, this is a crazy story. Sneeko apparently was having a shit ton of threesomes with a bunch of like Republican conservative content creators. Like, just, you know, they're I mean, it's nothing that you didn't expect. But yeah, a lot of these guys apparently they just fuck a lot. Like all these like conservative like trad cats and shit. Yeah, Sneeko was having threesomes with this lady Amy something. Okay. Yeah, they're having like grifter orgies out there while simultaneously talking about, you know, living traditional lives. It's so funny. These guys think it's oxymoronic for me to be successful financially, but also be a socialist. Meanwhile, they quite literally do not practice what they preach. Okay? There is no, like, that is diametrically the opposite of the way that they present themselves. Okay? This motherfucker's running around being like, I'm actually a pious Muslim revert. I believe fully, I subscribe fully to Islam. And then he's having fucking three-ways and shit, watching his girlfriend get fucked by other dudes. Like, I don't even understand how that stuff works at all. What the fuck? I bet you his ass did not ask one of these sheiks, you know, on one of the call-in shows to be like, you know, Imam, great Imam, please tell me, is it haram if I have a threesome and then in the threesome, there's another guy and he's fucking my girlfriend? Please, for the love of Allah, look at Amy Something's Instagram bio. Another Instagram link. Christ is King. Mrs. the Bryn Cat on Rumble and YouTube, America First. Yeah, this is the lady. She loves James Fishback. And I think that's her husband, who is a groiper. Is that a Swagapino W or L? Honestly, I think if Sneeko didn't become this like weird right-wing grifter, he could have had an incredible media career ahead of him. Because he used to, when he was like a little kid, he would do like all these thoughtful videos about American militarism, American imperialism, all this shit. And then his brain just got completely fucking reoriented by Andrew Tate. He got hit with the Andrew Tate beam and he was like, oh, I love Red Pill. Oh, I love fighting against the Matrix. I mean, he went through like every version of being blasted by internet invented ideologies. So I don't know where he's at now, but I check logs. Okay, man. Okay. We're talking about something else right now. Fucking calm down. Okay. Freaking calm down, dude. Chill out. I know. We'll talk about Trump not waging war with Iran. Okay. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to get to that. There will be plenty of time to get to that. Okay. Stop begging me to check your logs. Bro, it's really funny because I told you guys the two things I fucking can't stand in the chat when you spam it is like Instagram links, and you guys love spamming Instagram links, and also check logs. You guys love spamming both. You love spamming check logs for an Instagram link. Anyway, I don't know how to explain it, but this is fundamentally the same vibe as John Fetterman.
Really gross.
I mean, yeah, she is a John Fetterman type anyway. Marjorie Traylor Greene. Okay, stop. Yeah, all right, let's get started with I want to do the voter crosstabs, but is there like a fucking video covering it? Because I have to pee. Because if not, we're just going to start with Mallory McMorrow.
Funding to Israel's defense infrastructure.
Because Mallory McCormo went on Majority Report and Matt Bernstein, okay? And apparently Emma Vigeland from Majority Report was brought on to the convo out of nowhere, and she played a role in apparently grilling her. Okay? And I'm very excited to watch this. I'm actually super stoked to watch this. Tom Hardy is a Kneecap fan? Yeah, we know.
Because I don't think anybody should live in fear of being bombed or killed.
Okay, what about Iranians? What about Palestinians? What about the Russians? Are you in favor of sending the Iron Dome to the Palestinians? If she says yes, that's awesome. That's kind of based. I'm not going to lie.
I would look at how do we support defensive systems for Palestinians? How would we support defensive systems for Lebanese?
Should they get an Iron Dome too, the Palestinians?
Well, let's talk about that as a conversation.
Well, I mean, hello. For anyone who hasn't been following recent left-wing political Twitter drama, or who doesn't keep up with the iconic drag queen Lady Bunny, who posted about said drama on Instagram, this has been a long time coming. Allow me to explain. After I interviewed Dr. Abdul El Sayed, a progressive candidate running for U.S. Senate in the state of Michigan, his Democratic primary opponent, Mallory McMorrow, reached out to me saying that she would like to be interviewed. I was honestly a little surprised by this, given that Mallory and I have some key policy disagreements. In her race, Mallory is running on the standard Democratic liberal Zionist position of, two-state solution, fund the Iron Dome, but Netanyahu bad, but also no sanctions about it, etc. She's also not running on Medicare for All. But I wanted to do the interview so I could ask her about those positions. Her team and I set a date and a time for the interview, and after I submitted a topic list, which included healthcare and foreign policy, they canceled and offered no time to reschedule. I will say, and I don't want to assume intention, and I'm willing to be wrong, but I do kind of wonder sometimes if, because of how I present and the fact that I'm so open about who I am, that people just think I'm like the gay guy,
Not as big as a news story in terms of the grand scheme of things. No, I know the LA. First of all, the Long Island Railroad is very important to me. The LIRR is very important to me personally. Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, this is very much an important story in the Hasanabi universe. Okay? I need you to understand that. You guys know. I've taken it many a times, and I love it. Okay? It's choo-choo time. We will talk about it. We will definitely talk about that, and we'll talk about the discourse surrounding it because this is nasty. A lot of liberals are showing their fucking asses about labor unions. It's disgusting. Like this idea that it's totally transactional, that like liberals should actually drop labor unions because they didn't sufficiently support Biden after Biden showed a lot of after Biden aided the labor unions is disgusting. Okay, you don't support labor unions because they're left or right. You support them because it's just nastiness.
Who will talk about gay things and not much else. And not to be too like Sex in the City about it, But I can't help but wonder if they reached out to me thinking I'd just ask Mallory about like her LGBT record, you know? But in any case, I tweeted that I was disappointed that her team had canceled. And the tweet quickly got traction. And within a couple hours, her team reached out and her schedule had opened back up and we were back on. So I don't know, maybe an honest scheduling error, maybe not. Make of it what you will. I had my good friend and host of the Majority Report, Emma Vigeland, join me for this interview. Love her so much. And without further ado, State Senator Mallory McMorrow, welcome to A Bit Fruity.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I've been following you for years, by the way, so this is very exciting for me.
Oh, wow, that means so much to me. Seriously though, I know we had like all of this like scheduling drama, and you know, I know in the wake of all of that, you could have very easily just been like, I'm not going to do this one, and it would have made sense to me. So it really does mean a lot to me that you're here today. And I also know that like a lot of Michigan voters listen to this podcast, might see this, and I think they're probably really grateful that you're here.
Absolutely. And thank you for rolling with us. I mean, balancing, you know, running a state.
Why do people talk shit about my background and then Mallory McMorrow's background is the fucking same? What the hell is that?
Statewide campaign. I'm the state Senate majority whip, so I've got that whole job, and I have a 5-year-old. So our schedule, my scheduler is everything. She manages to piece it all together, but I'm really grateful that you rolled with us to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. State Senator Mallory McMorrow, you are in this 3-person primary race.
He kind of sounds like Daily Dose of the internet, no?
For the U.S. Senate representing Michigan, that's really captured the attention of the country. And I want you to help us characterize it a little bit for people who might be hearing about this race for the first time. You have these 2 opponents, right? On one hand, you have Haley Stevens, who is the AIPAC-endorsed, super pro-Israel, sort of an extension of like Chuck Schumer's brand of the Democratic Party, I'd say, pretty old guard. Haley Stevens was notably booed at her own Michigan Democratic Party convention recently. I'll throw a video in there if I can find it.
You suck. That's crazy.
Which is pretty amazing. And then on the other side, you have Dr. Abdul El Sayed, who we interviewed on the show a few weeks ago. Dr. El Sayed is a very progressive candidate, wrote a book on Medicare for All, very pro-Palestine. And I think, and please feel free to dispute this characterization, that most people view you as like someone in the middle. So I was wondering if you could first just like define yourself in the context of this race.
For sure. So to put the race into perspective, Michigan has an open U.S. Senate seat. Gary Peters is not seeking re-election. We have Mike Rogers, in all likelihood the nominee on the Republican side, who ran against Alyssa Slotkin in 2024, lost by only 19,000 votes. The Republicans and Trump view this as their best chance to block Democrats from having a path at taking the U.S. Senate. They're spending, the Senate leadership PAC announced $45 million that they're going to be spending in Michigan, which is more than they will spend in Georgia, Maine, Iowa, Alaska, New Hampshire. So this is it. So it makes sense that this has sort of captured the attention of the country, and we have a fiercely competitive Democratic primary.
You do. I should add, so people know, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but it's like, depending on what poll you look at, which are coming out like relentlessly, it's like neck and neck with the 3 of you.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, but your characterization is right. You know, what I firmly believe is that the Democratic Party needs a reckoning, that the old guard establishment of the party has really let us down. The first question I was asked when I got in a year ago was, would you support Chuck Schumer for leader? And I said, no. Apparently I was the first candidate in the country to say so. And what I know is that in Michigan, we have built a very different blueprint. So for me, I know that people want to put us into neat little lane boxes, and I just don't think that's how Michiganders think. We have people in our state who voted for both Rick Snyder, a Republican governor, and Gretchen Whitmer. We have people who voted for Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. This is a state where you don't have to register by party, and people tend to vote for the person that they like. But of the field, I am the establishment outsider, but with a track record of actually getting real shit done. I'm the only candidate to have beaten a Republican incumbent to get into office. I took on an entrenched family legacy in my first campaign for state Senate, and I swung a district 20 points in a single cycle and broke the Republican supermajority. I then helped leverage a viral speech that I gave back in 2022 after I was smeared as a groomer and a pedophile by a colleague of mine. I opened a PAC. We raised millions of dollars. I supported a dozen other candidates and flipped the entire state Senate for the first time in 40 years.
Been there with the groomer and pedophile.
Oh, same here, actually.
Yeah, and can I tell you, like, all of your Instagram stories were truly so helpful for us. Like, you may not know this, but a lot of us in the state Senate, we've been following you for a while, kind of hitting back on a lot of the culture war bullshit.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, really
Yeah, she's you know, coming at it real nice.
Appreciate everyone who like stood
This
their
is
ground
good. I mean,
amidst what I think was hopefully
she's a lot more skilled, I would say, or maybe it's her personality. I don't know what it is, but she is she's very good at how has everyone what is this? How has everyone been accused of being a pedophile? Wait, what? What the fuck does that even? Yeah, she's very good at disarming.
the height of the culture war bullshit. I'm of the belief that like so much has happened since, especially to like wreck Americans' lives economically, that even the most sort of ardent like anti-drag brunch people are now kind of like, I don't got time for that, you know?
I will never forget there was a press conference Tudor Dixon tried to hold in the middle of the 22 cycle. She had all these people, and it was under the guise of protecting girls in sports, and she made this radical claims about what was happening in the state. And there was this incredible local news broadcast that it talked about her press conference, and then the reporter pressed her, can you provide a single example of somebody being hurt in sports in Michigan? And she said no. And then they cut away to a protester who was like, I just need affordable housing. Like I can't afford anywhere to live. And I think that's why, the speech that I gave then blew up the way that it did, because I made a point of saying people who are different are not the reason your healthcare costs are too high. And we can't let people who are hateful people distract from the fact that they're not actually doing anything to help you.
Guys, you can't do this thing, okay? You have to take this in stride, okay? This is a person who has literally straight up compared me to Nicolas Fuentes, okay? And I'm not, as aggressive in my commentary against her. You guys can't do that, okay? Because then we look fucking crazy. If she looks good in an interview and you are just like, she's a snake, don't trust her, all this shit, like, I understand why you don't like her, but you have to be normal. You can't look abnormal. You can't look weird,
Yeah, and I want to talk about some of those economic issues, namely healthcare. I know going into this, we said we want to talk about foreign policy and healthcare, because especially, if you're representing Michigan on the national stage, then, these are things that people really care about. So Senator McMorrow, with regard to healthcare, you support a single payer option, which is different from something like Medicare for all or universal healthcare. I wanted to play a clip for you that's gotten some traction of you speaking about what you see as the risks of universal healthcare, and just ask you more about that.
Sure.
Also, you're new to the pod and learning that I don't have a producer. So when I say, like, I'm going to throw something up on the screen, what I mean is I'm going to play the video from my phone into the microphone.
Oh, that's incredible. So, okay, perfect.
Sorry, you're welcome.
Some people conflate Medicare for all with universal healthcare. But Medicare for all, when it's actually defined, is one singular government-run healthcare system that we are all on. Now, I want you to imagine what that would look like with Donald Trump and RFK Jr. at the head of it.
Emma, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So State Senator McMorrow.
Oh! Get in there, Emma!
It feels like the implication of your framing there is that government healthcare programs shouldn't be trusted because Trump and RFK Jr. are leading them. Are there other programs, specifically healthcare programs or social programs, you think should be cut because Trump and RFK Jr. are currently in charge of them?
No, that's not at all what I intended. And, I fundamentally and firmly believe that we need access to universal healthcare, and we need to get there as quickly as possible. In the state Senate, I have led on efforts to codify the Affordable Care Act on the state level, so you can't lose your healthcare with a pre-existing condition. We repealed our 1931 abortion ban. We helped expand a program called RX Kids statewide, which is a cash grant program for new moms and babies. We've expanded access to doulas and to midwives. We've done so much because this is such a big issue. And what I know is that people can't afford to wait. The idea that...
She looks so intense. She is not there to play no games. She's like, nope, I'm here. Yeah, your track record's fine in the state level. Why did you say that?
We should hold out just for one solution, to me, is just not what I've experienced in governing. The next U.S. senator would be one of 100 members, and the votes for a true single payer system simply aren't there. Now, there have been multiple states who have implemented state level public options. And in those states, not only have they vastly reduced the rate of uninsured to next to zero, they've also reduced the cost of private health insurance. That is something that, as we look to how do we get to universal healthcare as quickly as possible so people aren't going bankrupt, they are not denying themselves care. I am somebody who graduated from college right into the recession in 2008 wanting to be a car designer. So I did not have healthcare. I couldn't stay on my parents' plan until 26. Having that real public option. Anybody who wants to opt into Medicare, regardless of age, can, while also ensuring if you want to keep your plan through your union or through your employer, that you can, I believe, is the best way that we can get to universal healthcare as quickly as possible.
We can talk about, I think, the merits of the public option versus Medicare for all, but the public option would still be run by Donald Trump and RFK Jr. or whoever ends up being a Republican if they take over. So, additionally, the entire Republican Party is against Medicare for all and single payer. So it's almost an assertion that Democrats shouldn't pursue Medicare for all or even single payer because potentially Republicans could get back into power and control it. I mean, that is the implication of what you said.
I don't think that it is. I think that's a mischaracterization.
How would you characterize it then?
You talk a lot on the trail and you want to make some jokes and you want to help people understand where you're coming from. This is an administration that has slashed.
That's, I mean, it was just jokes. It was just jokes. She's not anti-Medicare for all. It was just jokes. What is the joke then? I mean, you're defeated at that point, right? If you're a politician and you're talking about how we can't pursue a very popular healthcare provision because, like, you know, Republicans might take it over. It's like, okay, Social Security exists. Like, Republicans have been president. They can't take it away. The fuck does that even mean? But obviously, fundamentally, when you say explain the joke, then it's over. It's there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. When you turn around and you say explain the joke, then I don't understand it. It's the most annoying thing that people can do. People do it to me all the time. It is an undefeated method, okay, of just hooking someone.
Access to mifepristone. This is an administration who intentionally withheld SNAP benefits, even though we had the funding to pay for it in Michigan. That's 1 million kids who are on SNAP.
Yeah, but you would never say that, we shouldn't have SNAP because, inevitably, we shouldn't expand SNAP because inevitably Republicans will control it, right?
Now, I don't think we should shy away from the incredible damage that this administration is inflicting on government programs. Here in the state, I'm on the Appropriations Committee in the state Senate. We are having to backfill state Medicaid because they've vastly slashed access to funding for us. The one big awful bill means that Michigan stands to lose 13 rural hospitals. We've already seen a birthing center close in the Upper Peninsula. Now women have to drive more than 50 miles to give birth. I don't believe that it's out of line to highlight, hopefully with some humor, we're allowed to laugh sometimes, some of the incredibly damaging things that this administration has done, while we are also advocating for what we would do if we get back into power. What we're
the argument that she presented wasn't that this administration is like... The argument that she presented wasn't specifically about this administration's actions taking away people's health care. You used that as a reason as to why we shouldn't pursue government-controlled health care. That's a very specific criticism against government initiatives in general and specifically against Medicare for all.
Propose and how we're going to get there. How do you build a coalition to actually implement
jokes.
policy?
I'm a jokester. I love fibbing. I love... hyperbole, as you guys know. It's one of my biggest flaws. My biggest personality flaws is that I love laughter. Okay? Chat hates it. But there is a difference, right? When you're making a joke, there's an intentionality behind it. There's a direction on the joke. I'm not going to say you can't make jokes about denying people access to healthcare. It can be very funny. Comedy is legal, okay? Comedy.
Legalize comedy.
Legalize comedy. Comedy is legal. I don't do the jokes of bourgeois decadence. I think that you just didn't, I guess you didn't mean it. I guess you said that, but you didn't mean it. And I think that's what she's trying to do right now. Wait, no, Dr. Jihad is a joking guy. You can't be real. No, Dr. Jihad is very real. Nothing I've ever said as Dr. Jihad has been a joke. I don't fib. I don't joke when I'm Dr. Jihad. That's serious. That's me.
Restores healthcare for people as quickly as possible.
I think the rub there is just that the framing kind of undercuts the idea of universal programs because the bad party can take over at a certain point. And, I want Democrats to be talking about how government can provide social services for people. I think that needs to be a core part of the brand proposition. And, another part of your assertion was that Medicare for All is I wrote the quote down, one singular government-run healthcare system that we're all on. Can you elaborate on that? Because Medicare for All is a replacement for private insurance with a single government payer, like Medicare is currently. It's not government-run healthcare.
Sure, you're right. And I have taken that feedback to heart. We campaign a lot. And I do talk about this differently now so that it doesn't come across as callous. And you're right. A single payer system, Medicare for All, in the legislation as it has been introduced and sits in the Congress right now, is a single insurance plan that would by law eliminate private health insurance.
The public option, can you expand on how you would solve some of the same, say, enrollment issues that you see with Obamacare? A Medicare for All plan would promise no premiums or deductibles. It would create a single payer, the largest amount of leverage to keep costs down. That is why people want to go big with Medicare for All. A public option is an improvement, of course, on the private marketplace and the Affordable Care Act, but that would still involve premiums and deductibles. Why not go all the way to Medicare for All?
Yeah, I hear you on the vision. I 100% do. And what I know after almost a decade as experience in a legislator is that you need to push as far as you possibly can while building the coalition of votes to actually get it across the line. And the support for a true single payer system isn't there yet. It just isn't. So for me, what I know, I have constituents today.
Bullshit. That's not real. That's not real.
Who have canceled their ACA plans because they see their premiums have gone through the roof and they're just praying that they don't get sick and don't go to the hospital. Allowing for anybody who wants to opt into Medicare regardless of age helps us get on the path to universal health care. And I'm also somebody who fundamentally believes states are the laboratories of democracy. This is where we try things out. This is how our country was established. There has only been one state who's ever attempted a true single payer system, and it was Vermont. And they abandoned that 15 years ago when they couldn't figure out how to pay for it and they couldn't figure out the implementation, where we now have 3 states who are running public option systems within their states that have gotten us much closer to the goal of universal health care. So that's how I approach policy: is what's our goal and how can we actually ensure that we get there as quickly as possible.
Moving on, Mallory, an issue that's extremely close to my heart as a Jewish person,
better things are not possible. People don't have an appetite for this. I think it's bullshit. Okay. I think that's bullshit. I'm gonna be honest. It's just, I'm coming at it with the most with maximum electability in mind. Okay, well, we need bold thinkers. Okay, the time for trailing the Republicans along was for yesteryear. Okay, the time for real bold changes is now.
A tax-paying American as a human being is that of Palestine.
I despise when people automatically come to the bargaining table. I despise when people come to the bargaining table and immediately shank their own position. Public option would be an improvement over what we have now, but why would you even start down with a watered down proposal, negotiate with the maximum? Exactly. It's ridiculous, and every Democrat that does that is a snake in the grass. Remember that. Every Democrat that does that, when any Democrat that says, oh, this is unfeasible, is doing so for a reason. Okay? It's unbelievably disingenuous. Especially on this issue, right? This is a doable thing. We're not talking about the abolition of the commodity form, okay? That's not, there are obviously ideas that might not be electorally permissible, or ideas that are totally out there, okay? Like the work abolition, right? You're not coming in and saying we got to, forcibly seize the means of production, okay? We're implementing a dictatorship of the proletariat in this election cycle. That's not that's maybe a little bit too much of a radical idea, It
was actually just the other night at a UN commemoration of the anniversary of the Nakba in 1948, when Israel displaced more than 750,000 Palestinians who still
This is like, as far as the healthcare conversation goes, like I did not like her answer. I think she was competent. She held off the attacks fairly well. If you're knowledgeable on the issue, you look at it and you understand exactly what she's saying, where she's coming in and saying like, no, better things are not possible. We should just like water down our own side's argument because there's real electoral concerns or something like that. It's bullshit. But I think to the onlookers who are not initiated with this kind of politics, she probably held frame here. Okay, on the optics side, liberals will watch this. No, liberals will absolutely watch this interview, and their takeaway will be, "Wow, she's brilliant. This is our candidate for sure." Okay, they love when someone says, "Oh, you guys are just naive radicals." Okay. Oh, you want some pie? You want some pie in the sky idealism here with your what? Advocacy for a system that is not even as comprehensive as like a nationalized healthcare service that exists in the UK. You know, it's ridiculous.
Don't have the right to return home. So when considering people who are running for federal office, people who could determine the future of the U.S. relationship to Israel and the effect that that will have on Palestinians, now the Lebanese people and Iranians, I know this issue is one people who listen to the show, for one, care a lot about. And of course, you are also running in Michigan, which has a large Arab population, which, you know, that was very consequential in the 2024 election when many of them withheld their votes from Kamala Harris and as part of the uncommitted movement. So I want to make sure people have a really clear understanding of your position. Also, for context, your opponent on one side, Abdul El Sayed, he opposes all funding to Israel. And your opponent on the other side, Haley Stevens, is endorsed by AIPAC. Enough said there. So I wanted to highlight your approach and ask you about it. On your website, you write, quote, "The path to lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians lies in a two-state solution, with a democratic Jewish state of Israel existing safely along a democratic Palestinian state." You write that the flow of aid to Gaza, quote, "needs to be restored," that Israel's expansion into the West Bank, quote, "must stop," and that Hamas must, quote, "disarm and demonstrate a commitment to a peaceful and democratic Palestinian state."
I don't think Mallory would ever do an interview with me, but I would love to do it.
You also support funding.
But I guess like at this point, I'm functionally a campaign surrogate, so it's a little bit different.
Israel's defensive weapons infrastructure, you know, things like the Iron Dome. Is that all correct?
Increasingly, that's changed.
Okay.
And you even see Netanyahu now vocally saying that he himself wants to cut off relying on aid from other countries. So I would support Israel continuing to be able to purchase systems like the Iron Dome, defensive systems.
Your weed is too loud now, Hasanabi. The mainstream Dems will not engage. Even Hannity won't. I know, it's kind of fucking bullshit that Hannity won't, though. Because, like, if I'm the spokesperson for the Democratic Party, Hannity should destroy me in the marketplace of ideas. I'm ready, dude. I'm fucking ready to be destroyed, Hannity. I'm ready!
But I think it's in the best interest of the United States in reducing that aid and allowing Israel to do that on their own.
But I mean, as of now, though, your policy that you're running on, just so voters are like clear, is that you support sort of the defensive infrastructure. So we wanted to ask you a couple questions about your stance here. First, regarding what a two-state solution means to you and how that could affect your policymaking.
The two-state solution debate is something where I really do think that a lot of Democrats are kind of behind the reality on this issue. So I just want to talk in terms of practicalities. Where would you, in terms of like your ideal two-state solution, draw the borders? Because as you know, Israel's been illegally occupying East Jerusalem and the West Bank since 1967 in violation of UN law. And since then, 700,000 Israeli settlers have moved into the Palestinian territories in East Jerusalem.
Bro, is she gulping every time Emma starts speaking? That's crazy. Okay, Emma! Oh my God, Emma Vigeland, what a fucking nightmare! Oh my Lord!
And the West Bank, and have stolen Palestinian land. So my question about the practicality of a two-state solution is, how would that happen? Would your scenario require removing the 700,000 illegal settlers living on Palestinian land?
So, Emma, what you're asking is, I don't believe the role of a U.S. senator. I believe that a senator should have a role in allowing the United States to facilitate the negotiation between the Palestinians and the Israelis that gets to a place where there's long-term peace, security, and self-determination for Palestinians and long-term peace and security and self-determination for Israelis, who all live in the region and have to figure out a way to coexist where they're not killing each other. I don't believe that it's the role of a legislator to determine where those borders are or how it coexists, but it should be our role to de-escalate the conflict. I do not support the Netanyahu government. I think that they have continued to push well beyond what is proportionate, what is rational in response to the October 7th attacks, in a way that is horrifying to watch. I mean, bombing Gaza to be completely uninhabitable, the settler violence that you see, that while it is technically illegal, they are certainly doing nothing to stop it and continue to.
Okay, I'm guessing the pin is a reference to the mass shooter going on down the street from Hassan. It's not down the street from me. I think it's in the San Diego Islamic Center. That's a little ways away from down the street from me, and I don't know what's going on, but we'll get to that later. Okay.
Encourage it. And Matt, you brought this up particularly related to our state. We have a very large Lebanese population. 1 million people in Lebanon have been displaced. And I know a friend of mine who's running for state senate mentioned to me that his grandmother's home in Lebanon has been bombed 3 times, and that somehow she's still in good spirits about the fact that she is alive when many of her neighbors are not. So for me, I'm somebody, I bring a background in industrial design into how I pursue policy, which is starting with the outcome and then backing into how do you help facilitate making that happen. What I believe is that there is broad shared beliefs across our constituents in both the Jewish community, the Arab community, and frankly, for people who are not directly impacted by this, who are horrified beyond belief at the ongoing violence, suffering, chaos, who simply want the violence to stop and see the United States has played a role in continuing the violence when we need to play a role in ending it.
And I hear what you're saying about you don't want to draw specific boundaries. I understand that. But I think it's important to dissect what a 2-state solution would actually entail. Do you believe that that should involve some sort of reparations for Palestinian land that has been stolen? Because increasingly, if you look at the map of the West Bank, it's being taken over.
Yes, a 2-state solution is pure. I mean, I would say it was like an idealistic concept, even in the 90s, when there was like approximately, I believe in 88, there was like 80,000 or so settlers. That still would have been a very difficult process of taking away that land and like redistributing it to the Palestinians. But it's a fantasy. The reason why people still say it in 2026 is because it's a great way to shut your opposition to fuck up, because most people are oblivious to the realities on the ground. There is a de facto 1 state right now. This is a tough pill to swallow for everyone on both sides, but there is a de facto 1 state, and that sovereign state is an apartheid state. It's the state of Israel. So I think it's a much more productive way to tackle this issue. As an end to the occupation and an end to the apartheid. The abolition of the occupation of Israel and the abolition of the apartheid is the appropriate way to go about it, given the realities on the ground.
By Israel. So there would have to be either a forcible removal or Palestinians would have to be crammed into even smaller and smaller territory.
Yeah, and again, I go back to the United States role. A legislator's role should be in helping to facilitate between the negotiators and something that allows for that peace and security for Palestinians alone.
Yeah, it's by cutting funding. It's by turning Israel into a pariah state to apply maximum pressure peacefully, right, through peaceful means, which of course includes an arms embargo across the board, no defensive weapons, no offensive weapons, an arms embargo, not even just like denying them free money so they can purchase the weapons. I'm talking no weapons whatsoever, and then potentially sanctions, because that's what we would do, or that's what we did do to apartheid South Africa, right? This is part of the reason why a lot of these guys refuse to reckon with what it means to be an apartheid state. That's why they act silly and naive when it comes down to the recognition of Israel's apartheid, right? It's bullshit. That's why they don't want to say genocide either. There's a reason for it, because genocide comes with legal restrictions, a just demand for legal restrictions. Apartheid comes with demands for restrictions. You can't, on the one hand, say Israel's doing a genocide, Israel's an apartheid state, and on the other hand, go, and we still have to give them weapons. We have to sell them weapons. No, you don't give any fucking weapons to a country that's doing a genocide. You don't offer them any economic aid. It doesn't work that way, right? And that's why they have a hard time openly saying the truth that many people now understand, at least knowledgeable people understand.
Alongside Israelis. I don't believe that that is my role to dictate, to put on to the people who do live there what they should be fighting for their own lives.
I want to push back, though, a little bit on...
I would go a little bit harder. I'm gonna be honest.
Senator, sort of, you're presenting it as like a little bit detached from the peace process there, whereas like we know that Israel's sort of violent and ongoing expansion now.
Yeah, if you got a bad kid, if you got a child that's beating the shit out of people, and the school tells you like your kid's beating the fuck out of people, you don't give the kid a gun. You don't keep telling him go off, do whatever you want to do, go do a school shooting. Like, it's not how that works. Okay.
Into Lebanon, as you mentioned, it's only possible because of...
She's kind of right that it shouldn't be the U.S.'s role to tell Palestinians what solution they have. I know, but she's doing politicking there, okay? She's trying to say, oh, I'm an isolationist. She's not, okay? No American senator is a fucking isolationist, okay? Ask her about Taiwan to see if she has any takes on what kind of intervention we must do in Taiwan, right? It's just like, you don't have kids. True. I don't know what it takes to be a parent. I don't have children. You probably should give a gun to a bad kid who's like bullying the fuck out of all the other children, right? So he can be more efficient in his bullying. Yeah, she says, oh, we can't, speak over the Palestinians there, because the real point that she's making is we should just stay out of this conversation. She's trying to angle it in a way.
Ongoing bipartisan U.S. support. And so I wonder, if you continue to support defensive weapons infrastructure to Israel, how you see yourself as utilizing any of the leverage you could have as a U.S. senator.
I think here, I'm going to give you guys the method, okay? The interrogation method in this circumstance should start with terms that both parties agree to. Apartheid and genocide. Do you believe Israel committed a genocide? Do you believe Israel's an apartheid state? Or if you want to be even stronger in the way that you, present this question, you say, do you agree with virtually every humanitarian rights organization and the ICC and the ICJ that Israel is an apartheid state? Do you believe in do you agree in the United Nations recognition that Israel is an apartheid state? Because these are all very important institutions that have decided since 2021 and as recently as 2024 that Israel is maintaining an apartheid. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, same with the genocide distinction down to B'Tselem, the Israeli human rights organization, and all these other international human rights organizations. Do you agree with their assessment that Israel has conducted a genocide? So you have to define those terms first and foremost. You have to have that conversation with the opposition, and then you move off of that, right? Because once you do that recognition, once you agree that Israel has committed a genocide, and Israel is an apartheid state, then you can continue asking these questions like, why do you think, would you have been in favor of giving Nazi Germany anti-aircraft weapons when or the Allied forces were bombing Dresden, for example? There were civilians in Dresden. Do you agree that Nazi Germany should have gotten anti-aircraft defense systems? Do you believe Russia should get anti-drone defense systems from the United States of America? Should Russia get an Iron Dome? I mean, there's Russian civilians. Do you think the IRGC deserves the Iron Dome as well? So those are, that you can have that conversation after, right? What happens if she says yes to those questions? She won't. But even if she says yes to those questions, then you could continue having a conversation. It's like, okay, that's very bold. Will you push for legislation to make that happen? At that point, she's like in uncharted waters. And this is something this is something that's just not, she's never going to fucking entertain, even though she does briefly entertain it. Because once she says that, and she literally does say, it's interesting, I would have a conversation about that. I know. I saw the brief, the brief intro where she does say, oh, yeah, that could be a interesting thing to give the Iron Dome to the Palestinians. You say, what is an easier way to stop the bloodshed? What is an easier way to stop the bloodshed? To remove all weapons that we're giving, to do an arms embargo on Israel, or to give the Iron Dome to both sides of a conflict? Because there's obviously a much easier solution to this problem. The solution to the problem is not more guns. You can also turn it back on the domestic front, where you say, what do you think is a better way to solve the gun violence problem? To give every teacher a gun, or to create additional restrictions in the purchase of arms? You're a Democrat, even in the state of Michigan, where universal background checks is 90%. It's a 90% issue. It's a 90-10 issue. I don't think that she's in favor of arming people more. I think she's in favor of taking away the guns. Okay? This is a very reactionary framework that she doesn't even believe in. She does not believe in giving the fucking Palestinians an Iron Dome. I am. I'm in favor of taking it away from Israel and giving it to the Palestinians, for the record, just so we're clear. Okay? I'll say it. I say take the Iron Dome from Israel and give it to Gaza. They need it far more than Israel does. Okay? That's my take. That's not her take, though. Okay? I don't think that's her take.
In this situation. And I guess
So, Matt,
how
I'm
you
glad
think,
brought up-
because like this two-state solution line, right? It's the party line for a long time.
Since the 90s.
And it just hasn't borne out. I think probably everyone on all sides of this issue could agree with that. And so I wonder how you are breaking from the establishment in a way that would materially benefit the people who, frankly, like my tax dollars are killing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you framed it that way, because I think there's a difference, Matt, in how you asked your question versus Emma. One is the...
The knives are out. The girls are fighting. Hassan Farmi clips for Fox News again. Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Framework of the borders of the nations.
Yes, dude. One side is doing the genocide. The other side is being genocided. Which side deserves the fucking defensive weapons more? Do you think it's the side that is doing the genocide that deserves the defensive weapons? Or do you think it's the side that is being genocided that deserves the defensive weapons? From a purely moral perspective, which side in this equation deserves it more? What kind of fucking stupid shit is this?
The other is, what leverage does the Congress have to help facilitate this negotiation? I would have voted alongside the 40 out of 47 senators who voted in the past Sanders resolution blocking arms sales. And let's acknowledge how stunning it is that a year ago, that number was significantly smaller than it is today. My views on this have evolved because the reality on the ground has evolved. It has been horrifying to watch how Benjamin Netanyahu and the far-right government have prosecuted this ongoing war against Palestinians.
War or genocide?
Against Yemenis in a way that the United States cannot support. Simply put, the Congress holds the power of the purse, holds the power of funding and resolutions, and that is where I would view my role in coming in is keeping an open door to everybody within our community. Michigan is a very diverse state where we have the largest Arab American population living side by side with a very significant Jewish population. And Matt, your question is the universal truth. I was in an Uber a couple of weeks ago, and the driver said almost exactly what you said, which is, how can our country afford to continue bombing other countries when we can't pay for our own kids? That is where we need to step in and say enough is enough, and we need to bring this to an end.
I mean, you mentioned that how in Michigan you have people of different faiths, Muslim, Jewish people, Arab people living side by side. I think it's very American to believe in multiculturalism as an ethic, in that it engenders understanding, and when you can live alongside people who maybe have different views than you, it reduces the capacity for hatred. It's why we don't believe in things like segregation and apartheid, but Israel is an apartheid state. And, you know, when we're talking about who has the right to have land and to live in peace, I mean, we're recording this right now on the anniversary of the Nakba, and the Palestinians have been ethnically cleansed since, you know, you could say 1948, but prior to that, from the land that is now Israel. Do you not believe in multiculturalism as an ethic for Israel and Palestine? Because a shared land would be, in my view, American, and also the solution that we saw in South Africa that could provide fairness for everybody involved.
Yeah, and it may very well be. You know, there are
May very well be. What does that mean? By the way, this is why people who are pro-Israel are actually not even low-key, but high-key, unbelievably anti-Semitic. Okay? Or at the very least, unbelievably Islamophobic. The notion that like Jews and non-Jews can just simply never get along is, again, both anti-Semitic and also unbelievably Islamophobic, or at least anti-Arab, right? It's just crazy. It's a crazy argument to make. It quite literally is the segregationist argument in the United States of America. Separate but equal, please. We just can't have these. We can't have our kids go to school in the racial jungle, which, of course, famously was what Joe Biden said when desegregation was taking place. But it's a ridiculous argument to land on in 2026. It's crazy. We simply cannot have these fucking Arabs live with Jews. They just can't. They can't act right. That's the argument you're making. That's ridiculous. That's an unbelievably racist fucking argument. What are you saying? Like, oh, Jews just can't live with their neighbors? Is that what we're doing? Or is it that the Arabs can't live with their Jewish neighbors? It's bullshit.
who have worked on this issue for far longer than I have. And I always try to check my own bias at the door. I can't possibly understand what it is like to live in the middle of the Middle East. I can't imagine what it's like to have my home stolen from me, to have my family killed. And I want to leave the door open. I think it's important for anybody who holds the role of a senator as a legislator.
Yeah, it's also a historical too, because Arabs and Arab Jews as well, but like just Jews and Muslims lived in this region in relative peaceful harmony for centuries, okay? It is Israel that has fucked the entire thing up. That's what's so crazy about it. Like, the Ottoman Empire was literally a fucking safe haven for Jews that were experiencing pogroms in Christian countries, okay? Jews would escape Christian countries, Christian areas where they were constantly in the crosshairs, and they would come to the Ottoman Empire as a safe haven, okay? And that process went on for hundreds of years, and they lived in relative peace and harmony amongst the population. In comparison to you know, Spain, for example, it's just like it's totally ridiculous and absolutely ahistorical to make it seem as though there is this like newfound Arab anti-Semitism that actually wasn't new at all. That there wasn't any enmity, or this enmity is not an enmity towards Israel, which bills itself as the Jewish state, okay? But this was an ancient anti-Semitism that always existed amongst the Arabs. It's fucking bullshit. It's not real. It's a way for also Europeans specifically to abdicate their responsibility or to whitewash or launder their personal. Yeah. Jews were forced to pay a special tax that put them as second-class citizens. Oh, shit, dude. No way. I didn't realize it was just a Jewish-specific tax. Hey, maybe you should take that up with Jewish historians, okay, that have written extensively about the fact that the jizya was across the board for non-Muslims. Muslims had a separate tax that they were paying under the Ottoman Empire, and then also additional amenities were given to the non-Muslims where they didn't have to serve in the military. That's number one. Number two, it was still an unbelievable safe haven in comparison to Europe, where they were getting fucking slaughtered. Yes, it wasn't peak wokeness for 2026. It was peak wokeness for, you know, the 15th century and the 16th century. No one is saying it's fucking woke in comparison to modern day existence, dumbass. Yeah, but the idea that everything was fine was just not true. It abso-fucking-lutely was in comparison to what was going on in Europe. That's why Jews would escape Europe to come to the Ottoman Empire. You're wrong. And yes, you made it seem like it was just a Jewish-specific tax because you're a little bitch, okay? It wasn't. It was literally infinitely comparable to the Inquisition or the pogroms that Jews were withstanding. And two, it was a non-Muslim specific tax, as in exchange for, or rather than doing the Muslim tax, non-Muslims would pay the non-Muslim tax. That's it. That's what jizya is. Like, this is so funny. It's like, oh, dude, you're fucking paying taxes. Like, it's crazy. Like, you would never make this argument. You would never make this argument for anything else. You would never make this argument for, like, chattel slavery in comparison to being able to live freely in a society with discrimination, right? It would be the equivalent of, like, comparing the end of the Underground Railroad, Canada, to, you know, not just the Jim Crow South. I'm talking specifically chattel slavery in the South. That comparison is ridiculous, right? No one is saying that racial discrimination in Canada at that time, while there was literally slavery continuing, chattel slavery continuing in the fucking South, is somehow in any way, shape, or form comparable to, like, the current liberal society and the racial discrimination that currently exists in liberal society. Obviously, there was racial discrimination in Canada, but it was infinitely better than being held and bound and sold as not a human being, but as property, right? Relative to the continued legalized practice of chattel slavery, of course, it was better off overall for black people to live in Canada, to escape to Canada, where slavery was abolished, even though there was still racial discrimination. That's the comparison you're making right now.
Check their own bias at the door, be open and objective. And if there is, and I've heard from both the Jewish community and the Arab community that you're right, Emma, a two-state solution has been something that has been attempted for a very long time. We have failed to accomplish that so far. Perhaps
the second line of argumentation here for all the fucking diehards that want to engage in ahistorical nonsense, for the record, is the idea that there was still conflict against Jews. In the Ottoman Empire, there were still uprisings that took place. Of course, it was a vast empire. It was an empire after all. And of course, there were still ethnic tensions that rose from time to time, many of which was ironically still in the hands of Christians against Jews and Jews against Christians, and rarely ever Muslims, even though there were some instances where Muslims also did this. I don't know why I'm fucking talking about the history of this, by the way, but let me just, like, dial it back here and have her respond to Emma.
Killed. And I want to leave the door open. I think it's important for anybody who holds the role of a senator as a legislator to check their own bias at the door, be open and objective. And if there is, and I've heard from both Jewish.
No one's excusing European action towards Jews. I just reject the idea that Jews live happily in a society as second-class citizens along with others. Brother, I said relative harmony. Okay, relative. Do you know what relative means? Okay, adjusted to the current conditions, adjusted to the conditions at the time. Okay, relative peace and harmony. That's it. You refuse the premise because you understand, at least if you're a little bit knowledgeable on it, okay, you understand that it was far better overall, but you just don't want to recognize that because it doesn't suit your current argument. It is an ahistorical approach to say Jews were never allowed to coexist in relative peace in Muslim lands before Israel. It's wrong. It's objectively wrong. Bro, you're not going to win the argument. Just admit you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Are you talking about me or are you talking about the other person? There's no way you genuinely think that this is, oh, the chatter. Oh, okay. This is footage from the 1890s of Jewish people living peacefully in Palestine.
15 years later, the cinema is taking its first steps. Cameramen employed by the Lumiere brothers filming at Jerusalem Station provide the first moving pictures taken in Palestine. From now on, the camera is a recording eye, and what it records is this: a society much like that of...
Yeah, the majority of Jewish scholars literally call the time under certain Arab caliphates the golden age of Judaism. Yes, it's so funny. It's just like you're denying reality, man. You're fucking denying reality. That's all this is. It's It's so frustrating that people are doing this 10p camera. Brother, this is literally the first camera. What are you talking
Cairo,
about?
Damascus, or Beirut.
This is 1896, man.
In an Arab city, much like any other. By the end of the 19th century, Palestine has 500,000 inhabitants, of whom 30,000 live in Jerusalem. A veiled woman, a Sunni Muslim, one of the majority. An Orthodox Jew. He too turns away from the camera. Here we have an Armenian Pope. Each of the Christian denominations has its church here in the Holy City. The holy places of the three religions are scattered across a few hundred square meters. The Great Mosque is close to Christ's tomb. Further along, at the foot of the Wailing Wall, a Jew is reciting a prayer.
Jew with a fez! Yo! Yo! That's crazy. That's a crazy sight. I didn't even know it was like that. See, I'm learning new things too.
He is wearing a Turkish tabush, and though he prays in Hebrew, his everyday language is Arabic. Jews form half the population of Jerusalem, but in the country as a whole, they make up less than 5% of the total. Christians account for 10% and Muslims 85%. All of them are subjects of the Sultan of Constantinople.
Bro, that's not uncommon. My grandpa was Jewish and Turkish. Yeah, no, there's there used to be a lot more, especially like even still living in Istanbul, a lot of Jewish Turks. I just think it's funny. I don't know. It's funny to see people wearing fezzes to me.
There are no frontiers in the Ottoman Empire. There are administrative divisions in which, in this immense territory, Palestine occupies a mere 27,000 square kilometers, made up of 3 small districts in the south of the...
But he was also crazy. He said all Greeks should have been murdered. Yeah, that's a Turk for you, okay? Yeah, again, American Jews are American first. Turkish Jews are Turkish first. That makes total sense.
The province of Damascus. The same empire in the 17th century. In the meantime, it has lost the Balkans. France and Italy have seized North Africa. England has moved into Egypt, Aden, and even Kuwait.
The first recorded video was 8 years prior to this one. That's crazy. Anyway, Palestine before Zionism, a golden age. The article covers a period of 1860s to 1910s when Jews, Muslims, and Christians were experiencing a golden age in Palestine, social life in Jerusalem, Tiberias, Hebron. Jews, Muslims, Christians lived in the same streets, shopped at the same stores, frequented the same bathhouses, shared residential courtyards. This is the type of shit that also pisses off Israelis more than anything else, because it directly undermines the argument that like Jews and non-Jews cannot get along, and that there has to be, this necessitates a Jewish ethno-state. Okay? Not only is that initial fear from oftentimes, Christian pogroms against Jews, okay, and the unbelievable amounts of anti-Semitism that existed in many Christian parts of the world, okay, that obviously is no longer as apparent. There's no like systemic discrimination that exists in the Western world largely against Jews, but it also doesn't suit modern day propaganda purposes, because the allies now for Israel are, largely majority Christian nations in the West, and the ops are majority Muslim populations. So that's the reason why they have to constantly undermine this like important period of Jewish history. Christian musicians played at Jewish weddings, Jews performed at Muslim and Christian weddings. Jews, Muslims, and Christians started going to Ottoman schools as well as all the Israelite alliance schools. Palestinians, Jews, and Christians use Muslim religious courts to settle disputes amongst themselves. Jews form business partnerships with Muslims in the wheat, livestock, and dairy industries. Muslim and Jewish children from one courtyard would defend one another against Muslim and Jewish children from another courtyard. Muslim and Jewish women also breastfed another one's babies in the event of a death or life and the mother is unable to nurse. Religious life, Jewish Arabs, like all this stuff. Zachary Foster is a historian of Palestine, has a PhD from Princeton University. I've had him on the broadcast in the past as well. He's written on, Palestine before Zionism, a golden age. Many others have written about it too. It's not just him. But this kind of stuff is very frustrating for Zionists. One of the most historically illiterate attacks against Mamdani's Nakba post is outrage that he shared a Palestinian of Bosnian origin Inaya Bushnak's family came to Palestine in the Ottoman era Muhajir migrations and became part of Palestinian society. See thread. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to this video now.
Community and their Arab community that you're right, Emma. A two-state solution has been something that has been attempted for a very long time. We have failed to accomplish that so far. Perhaps a multicultural solution where people are living side by side is a better solution, but I want that to come from the people who live there. It shouldn't be the role of me to assert my views on residents of another country.
Yeah, I'll move on a little bit, but I think it's just, you know, to me, it's like Israel, who is the occupying power in this dynamic, I mean, as recognized by international law, does not want a multicultural state. Obviously, that is, you know, when they say like, oh, you guys want to destroy Israel, what they're talking about is a destruction of the apartheid system. What they're talking about is bringing in equality. And so I guess I want to stay on for a second, like how you could use your leverage
good
as
push.
a U.S. senator to stop this violence, which we all agree has to stop, right? Like we mentioned, you draw a distinction between Israel's defensive and offensive weapons infrastructure and currently support funding for the defensive part of that, like the Iron Dome. I think a lot of people, though, might disagree with that distinction and say that Israel's defensive capabilities enable their offensive capabilities. Like, you know, the Iron Dome allows Israel, one might say, to operate with impunity because they don't face the same threat of retaliation. So what would you say to that?
I hear you. As you can imagine, this is a conversation we have every single day in a state like ours, where we have vastly different viewpoints on the right course of action in the Middle East. And it is the job to go in with an open mind and to listen and to make the right, most objective decision that I possibly can. And as I said at the outset, it is increasingly the view of even Netanyahu himself that he wants to be able to do it on his own and doesn't want to rely on foreign aid. There seems to be a recognition that they are going at everything they possibly can and are losing the support of the world. They're losing the support of Americans. And I will always, my pledge is to always be objective. You know, I am not so tied to an individual viewpoint that I'm not willing to change my mind when the facts on the ground change.
I guess then to that end, why do you support funding to Israel's defense infrastructure? What is, I guess, sort of your positive vision in supporting that policy? You know what I mean?
Because I don't think anybody should live in fear of being bombed or killed. I would look at how do we support defensive systems for Palestinians? How would we support defensive systems for Lebanese?
Should they get an Iron Dome too, the Palestinians?
Well, let's talk about that as a conversation.
Well,
I mean, the horror of living in fear of being bombed constantly. Let's work with the outcome of how do we end the violence, period.
But I mean,
but then backing away from that, how do we protect people?
I think then, though, that sort of probes at like maybe we're coming from different worldviews here a little bit, because my worldview, and I think one that Emma has been talking about as well, is like multiculturalism, where we live amongst each other and where multiculturalism and a respect for one another.
Yeah, which is easier, justifying a defense package to Hamas, which once again, I need to explain this one more time. I am in favor of giving the Palestinian resistance an Iron Dome. They deserve it a lot more than the party that is doing the genocide. Okay? I've actually jokingly talked about this in the past, didn't realize that it's now Mallory McMorrow's foreign policy position. But what's easier? She's not to the left of me. Shut the fuck up, okay? She's not to the left of me. You don't... The Iron Dome is a starting point for what I think the Palestinian resistance and the Palestinian standing military in Palestine, the nation state of Palestine, deserves, okay? That's just a starting point. But also, what's easier, you think? Restraining Israel with a weapons embargo or giving both sides defensive weapons and let them duke it out? Are we going to pave a new fucking an airfield for the Palestinian resistance as well? Are we going to give them F-35 jets? Are we going to give them guided and unguided gravity bombs so they can use it when they're striking targets with higher efficiency inside of Tel Aviv, inside of Israel? Is that what we're doing? No, of course not. This is fucking stupid.
It keeps us safe. And so, like, I don't want to talk about like everyone getting their Iron Dome and everyone arming up and everyone getting more and more defensive and offensive and everyone getting more violent and everyone. I mean, I just did
They should have just asked, what other kinds of weapons would you be in favor of giving Hamas? That's so awesome. So you're in favor of giving Hamas an Iron Dome, which is, I have to say, very cool. A very cool position that I've never heard from a a Senate hopeful before. That's true. This is the first time I've ever heard a Senate hopeful, a candidate that's running for Senate, say we should give Hamas the Iron Dome. Okay? Call it the Hamas Dome. Give Hamas the Iron Dome. We need to establish technological weapons parity between Israel and Hamas, and therefore they need an Iron Dome and possibly nukes as well, because Israel has nukes. So how far would you go in establishing this parity, okay, between the two belligerents? Yes, the balance must be restored. So how far would you go? Would you give them a nuke? You didn't even say it's their position. You just said, yeah, let's talk about that conversation. Like, we got to talk about how to talk about it first before she even considers it. Yeah.
Episode that actually comes out today, which I'm very excited about, with Naomi Klein, about Tucker Carlson's worldview that he has been espousing as of late. And he does view the world that way, where, you know, in America, we should bunker down and have our white Christian nation, and everyone else is bunkered down in their own very racialized nations as well, with like tons of weapons, and we're all segregated. And like, I just find that to be such a grim reality, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think, like, I'm wondering if your politics could come from a different place philosophically, where it's not like, what about funding also the Palestinian Iron Dome, where it's about taking away the Iron Dome from Israel, this thing that, in my opinion, allows them to continue operating as a genocidal apartheid state unchecked.
Well, and I think where you and I find agreement here is exactly that. Ideally, we should be at a place where we're not armed to the teeth against each other. We are a multicultural society in our country, and yet we have more guns than we have people in the United States. I sat on the state Senate floor.
Oh, now all of a sudden, domestically, no longer in favor of defensive weapons to the teachers and the students. Remember what I told you? This is a great analog for you to be like, okay, gun violence. This is an awfully reactionary perspective that you have here, where you're like, oh, we should have a conversation about giving defensive weapons, or we can have a conversation about a weapons embargo to Israel, right?
Below 4 men with AR-15s and full tactical vests who, I promise you, wanted me dead. That is not the world that I want to live in. The goal, yes, is let's have multicultural societies where we're not attacking each other. I do start at that place. And I want to make sure that I go in recognizing that I would have a responsibility. I have a responsibility today as a state senator to check my personal beliefs at the door sometimes and make decisions that are in the best interest of protecting as many people as possible.
And
yeah, which, again, this all loops back to continue giving Israel an Iron Dome, but then also give Hamas an Iron Dome. That's awesome.
do you think the Iron Dome is in service of that?
What is this?
I would love to get to a place where it's not needed, period, for anybody.
Okay. Do you believe Israel has committed and is committing a genocide?
Yeah, we went through this on our campaign. Based on the legal definition, I've said this, I do believe that it meets the definition. What I also heard in response from many of my constituents who had family that they lost in the Holocaust is there is such a personal, visceral reaction.
Oh shit. Oh, I didn't realize. My bad, dude. Why didn't the international authorities factor in the feelings of people who are whose grandparents passed away in the Holocaust? I didn't realize that's how it works. This argument, again, is so fucking stupid. You literally are saying they should get one, okay? They should have a little bit of a Holocaust themselves as a treat, okay? That's what the argument is. You don't get a fucking freebie. What is this conversation? Also, Matt is Jewish. The incredible argument, okay? So what comes next for the Palestinians if they have, if you're cognizant of the reality that they've experienced the genocide? Do they get to have one of their own too? Like, how does this work? Where does this end? Again, just be fucking honest. This is what I hate about politicians. They just can't be normal. They can't be fucking honest. Everything has to be unbelievably centrist framed. Everything has to be focus tested, where you end up saying insanely stupid shit. Okay? Oh, well, you know, it just hurts people's feelings. It's a genocide, but it hurts people's feelings. Okay, I don't give a fuck if it hurts people's feelings. What do you mean? It's a genocide or not? And if you're like, well, they get to have a little bit of a genocide as a treat because, you know, their ancestors were genocided, then okay, do the Palestinians get to now genocide another group of people because they were genocided as you recognized? Like, where does this end? Again, centrists and like liberals who try to frame this like weird middle ground on objectively black and white issues of morality end up coming up with an unbelievably unreasonable solution. It's the same fucking thing with the whole like, well, we should give the Palestinians an Iron Dome, maybe. Okay, cool. I mean, sure. But where do we go? Which one is the easier solution? To give the Palestinians an Iron Dome, which I think they deserve for the record, and should get one. Okay. Or restrain fucking Israel. What are we talking about? So stupid. You become unreasonable in your effort to appear as the most reasonable. Okay?
To that word that moves us apart from each other. And when I believe that most people
slay it forward
in both the Jewish community and the Arab community and people who are not impacted want the same outcome, why would we spend our time debating whether or not you agree with the definition of a word and recognizing we have the coalition who wants the same thing? How do we keep them together?
I think that the definition is important because of international law, and we're seeing right now the Trump administration and, frankly, the Biden administration was also a part of the degradation of international law and the rules-based international order. And, you know, there was a Quinnipiac poll from August 2025. This has probably increased since then, that 77% of Democrats, over half of independents, believe that Israel is committing genocide. Don't you think that it's important to articulate that just to support international law at a time when the foreign policy of the United States and by extension Israel is might makes right?
I think it is important to listen to everybody that I would be asking for faith and trust to represent, and to build the coalition that.
Yeah, we gotta listen to those who are being genocided, and we gotta listen to those who are doing the genocide. Both sides have a role to play. One side is doing the genocide, the other side is being genocided. Okay, this is how it's got to go. This is like again, it's not radical to just say. I think if there is a tier of radical statements that just sound objectively insane, when you're so predisposed with trying to figure a fucking comfortable middle ground, you end up coming across like the insane one. These guys literally do this all the time. Liberals do this all the fucking time. Okay? Like, I know you guys are saying be radical, be specific, be extreme. You're not. She is extreme. She's the more extreme position. I don't think our position is more extreme than this position, okay? There is no other issue where you would be like, okay, this guy is a pedophile. Let's hear from both sides. Like, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? You don't go, hey, let's hear from the pedophile first. I know this is a convicted pedophile, but let's hear why he did the pedophilia, and then we'll hear the victim as well. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't fucking work that way. What are you talking about? Yeah, let's hear from Jeffrey Epstein and then from the victims as well. So that we can, and meanwhile, we're only funding Jeffrey Epstein, right? Like, it's ridiculous. You sound ridiculous. Because the other hidden premise there is the notion that sometimes mass murder and genocide is okay. And it's not okay. That is at odds with everything that people learn since birth in modern liberal society. Okay? Yeah, I have German voters and we want everyone to come together, so I can't call the Holocaust a genocide, is the argument that you're presenting here, which is an objectively insane argument. Okay? You run a pretty hardball stance when it's just a video. Would love to hear this type of pushback when they're on stream too. You got it, big dog. I mean, if Mallory McMorrow comes on stream, I'd love to have this conversation with her. You do also understand, you said, oh, with like people in Steyer and the like. I mean, with Nithya, I was, pretty stern, right? And she was seemingly in agreement with me, right? Was I not? I don't understand why people will accuse me of not doing this. Like, there are certain people to have this sort of conversation with, right? PA3 candidate Sharif Streets get out the vote rally with Senator Cory Booker and Mayor Sherrell Parker. Several empty seats can be seen as New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, Mayor Sherrell Parker. I mean, maybe it's just starting. Maybe the event has just started and that's why it's empty. But again, this is, I don't think you guys understand, man. You guys don't realize something, okay? This is the most consequential, most impactful demographic in the district, okay? Older black voters run the show here, okay? You guys are looking at it and going, oh, it's there's no motion. There's no motion. It was at 11 a.m. Eastern rally. It's been over for 5 hours. Okay. Still. Like, even when people were talking about, like, oh, why are they doing this on a Monday at 10 a.m.? It's because they're all retirees. I'm far more worried about Chris Rabb's chances than many here are, it seems. Anyway, that's totally different, though. That's irrelevant. Let's get back to this for now, and then we'll talk about it later.
Same goals. There is no doubt that war crimes have been committed. There is no doubt that the pain and suffering at the vast expense of our taxpayer dollars, Matt, to your point, that we continue to pay for this, needs to end. And I want to keep my people together at a moment when so much of the emphasis is on how to tear them apart.
Yeah, I don't mean to be pedantic. I really, really don't with like the genocide label. But I think to me, identifying it as a genocide is important to, like Emma said, give an internationally understood and legal label to what is currently happening to a group of people. And to me, like anyone's feelings about that word, I think are not as important as like recognizing what is still happening to people right now, which is a genocide under international law, you know?
How does your family feel about it? How are those conversations going?
Well, you know, it
depends on the family
depends
member.
on the family member, and it's tense. But ultimately, I assume, you know, you're asking that because I'm Jewish, and you'd be right for that, because it's, especially intergenerationally, it's a tense conversation because people have, you know, different levels of you know, Zionist indoctrination and also differing sort of proximities to the Holocaust and the timeline. But I think, though, the difficult conversations that are happening within my family are less important than the reality of what is.
She's pretty good. I hate to give her credit because that's a really good way to not respond to the question and flip it back to be like, see, you're having a hard time getting across to your older relatives, but that's not the question. You are a senator, okay? You are a senator. You have an obligation to the truth, okay? My grandparents believe a litany of different insane things is the retort here. They don't believe in climate change. Are you going to fucking come out and be like, I don't believe in climate change because some of my voters don't believe in climate change? You would never do that. What if I have relatives that think every child should have an AR-15? Are you going to turn around and say, you know what? We have to factor into our advocacy as Democrats that maybe some children should get AR-15s. How about 10% of children that get AR-15s in school, in classrooms, as a reasonable mechanism of defense? Sometimes constituents have a litany of different insane opinions. You are placing emphasis on certain opinions, and you're giving a lot more priority to certain opinions, even if they're fucking objectively ridiculous. That's it. You know?
Happening to the Palestinian people.
So we've had those same conversations. My husband is Jewish, and though I'm a step removed, there are certainly really, really hard conversations, to your point, among generations, within families. I respectfully...
You're a Democrat trying to win a Democratic primary in a state that literally was lost to Donald Trump because Kamala Harris wouldn't address this issue with conviction. That was in 2024. It's 2026 now. This is a 90-10 issue. There is no let's listen to the 10% here. Okay? There's only let's listen to the truth here. Okay? And then if you can't listen to the truth and you only make these electoral calculations, then there is no fucking need to listen to the 10%. It's ridiculous. There is no world where Mallory McMorrow would be asked what her stance is on protecting women's bodily autonomy. Okay? Israel and being pro-Israel is polling at the same level of, should we restrict abortion access? Should we restrict medical access to women when it comes to abortions. Would you say that about abortions? No, of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't go, well, some of my constituents want to stop women from being able to have, abortions. We got to listen to them. You would never say that. The only reason why people say this about Israel is because of donors. That's it. That's it. That's fucking it. It's so ridiculous, dude. What the fuck? She wouldn't say, I don't want to say I support abortion rights because it offends pro-life people. So I just say reproductive health. Exactly. Exactly. She wouldn't say, well, my husband is a devout Christian. And as a devout Christian, he thinks women shouldn't be able to get abortions. So it's a tough conversation in the family. And that's the reason why I have to, strategically position myself on this 90-10 issue. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So why would you do it for Israel?
Disagree, and I believe the responsibility of a legislator, somebody who represents, I'm asking for the trust to represent 10 million people in a very diverse state that is a purple state that could very easily go to the Republicans.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Republicans, by the way, also independents, Republicans even, are no longer as favorable to Israel as Mallory McMorrow presents it.
Greatest joy in this job as a legislator is when I get to help people one-on-one and when I get to be a part of their story. And keeping coalitions together is hard work. And
I mean, this is the type of shit that I would have said, by the way, if I had the opportunity to talk to Mallory McMorrow. It'd be great. I'd be like, would you say that? Like 10% of your constituents, 10% of all Michiganders, but certainly more than 10% of all Michiganders, but 10% of Democratic Party constituents believe that there should be restrictions on abortion. Would you talk about the issue of abortion with this kind of language, with this kind of wishy-washy, centrist, middle-of-the-ground language? You wouldn't. You would never do that because that would be fucking ridiculous. So why do you do that for Israel? That's the question. Why do you do that for Israel? If it's also a 90-10 issue.
I believe we can respect international law and the ICC and have a legislator who respects their stances and understands that in order to move forward to the goal that I think all of us on this call share, is to keep a state like mine together and to not let this issue tear people apart. Because if we let it tear us apart, we get Mike Rogers. Trump gets a win. And there is no love lost on the other side of the aisle here, with an administration that allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to convince us to go to war with Iran.
I think, because we're still in the primary, especially, like I'm pressing, Democrats a little bit more on this because we're not yet really talking about the general. And, you say that it's more important to keep the coalition together than to sort of fracture over this one issue. But I don't know. I think for me, and I'm not trying to be antagonistic at all, I promise. But sort of when I look at what a candidate like Dr. Abdullah Sayed is doing around this issue, it doesn't feel like we actually have to abandon dignity and actual justice for Palestinians to keep that coalition together. I mean, like we said at the beginning, you guys are all, neck and neck.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think we need to either. And that's not my goal at all.
I guess, we on this topic, we've exhausted it a little bit, but you also have groups like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and the Israeli organization itself, B'Tselem, calling it a genocide. So I read that out just because I think that when we're talking about how to keep a coalition together, the 77% of Democrats that think Israel's committing genocide, the 90% of Democrats that have a negative view of Israel or don't want to send them more money, that would, I would imagine, be the position that would be as unifying as possible, because it appears like this is kind of a consensus opinion now within
Yes! Get him, Emma!
the Democratic base.
I mean, I hear that it's reflective in...
I'm listening. I'm hearing, I'm listening, and I'm speaking, okay? McMorrow gives me hope because it feels like the maximum amount of lying establishment Dems are willing to do and is still not working. The problem with McMorrow is that she's not running in 2018, okay? This would be a banger. In 2018, oh my God, Resist Libs would be going crazy for her. Problem with McMorrow is she's running in 2026. The environment has shifted so much, okay? That's it. That's the problem. We have a much more diverse media diet. Okay. People have an outright rejection of mainstream media. There's not a lot of credibility there. There's no like universal approach to shit like this. So when you do actually have a coalition, when you do actually have consensus politics when it comes to Israel, and someone is still trying to hit the fucking middle ground, people are very skeptical of that. They go, no, I don't actually like what you're doing here. Okay, that's it. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that politics in the Democratic side have always been about agreeability, okay? Trying to be as agreeable as possible with not just like as large of a chunk of the base as possible, but like agreeable with, you know, all the different elements, all the different stakeholders within the party infrastructure, corporations, foreign lobbies, you know, big donors, and the voters, right? In 2026, disagreeability actually works sometimes far better than that, okay? Disagreeing with the centrist forces within the party infrastructure, disagreeing with mainstream media, disagreeing with corporations, that's actually good. That is how you establish credibility.
Polls and reading polls and asserting how campaigns should be run based off of polls is not a way that you win in a state like ours. And Matt, I hear that you don't want to talk about
polls and morality, both polls and international law and morality.
And talking about morality, Trump put out an AI-generated video of Trump Gaza and has told us we cannot afford daycare, we cannot afford Medicare, we cannot afford Medicaid. And not only that, but that states should tax themselves even more to pay for those selfish things so that we can pay for a war that he...
Oh, she's trying to bring it back to Trump. Like, we both hate Trump, right? Emma won't bite on that. She'll be like, you're running in the Democratic Party's primary. If you were to win, this would send a message about what the voters want. Your job here isn't to oppose Trump. Everyone opposes Trump. Everyone in this room opposes Trump. We are all in opposition to Trump. We are currently talking about the distinction between yourself and someone like Abdul El-Sayed and someone like Haley Stevens. You're 100% correct. She knows that her donors don't want her to say genocide, but her constituency wants that, and that's why she's having a hard time saying it. I think this is the type of thing that should be addressed. I mean, and by the way, I held fucking Steyer's feet to the fire on this issue as well, even though he's objectively far beyond every one of the top contenders in the California governor's race. You know, I did. I was like, you can't call it a genocide? Like, you don't think it's appropriate to call it a genocide? He's also been more responsive on this issue in the other interviews that he's conducted as well since then. But like, again, this is important. This is an important thing to call out. And the reason why it's important is because there are also additional considerations that come along when you come to that recognition, because then you look fucking ridiculous. If you call it a genocide and then you say, but we still got to give the genocidaires money and weapons, then you look fucking insane. Okay? Same with taxing the billionaires. You held him. He was so bad in those questions. Yeah, but he's now good on those questions. Ironically enough, he's changed his perspective on those questions.
Took us into because Netanyahu convinced him to do so. And every single Republican in the House and the Senate refused to vote on the War Powers Resolution. So I agree. You'll find agreement. And I live and serve in a deeply purple state that has to focus on November and Mike Rogers and the tens of millions of dollars that will be funneled into this state, because it is a coalition of...
Deeply purple state that also recognizes that Israel's committing a genocide. By the way, deeply purple is bullshit. It's only purple because Kamala Harris. You can literally make the argument that it's a purple state because Kamala Harris did not recognize that Israel was committing a genocide and wanted to put an end to it. That's literally the only reason why it's fucking purple. It was not purple. It was supposed to be blue. It is supposed to be a blue state. And it would have been a fucking blue state if Kamala Harris actually nipped that shit in the bud and charted a different path forward with Israel. Openly said, Israel's committing a genocide. We have to put an end to it, and I will put an end to it if I'm president. Okay? I disagree. I agree with a lot of the things that Biden did. He's my president. He's been great. But this is one issue where I think now is the time to say enough is enough. Okay? That's it.
as many people in the state as possible. You don't win in Michigan without independents. You don't win in Michigan without Republicans.
Yes, independents, overwhelming majority of independents also fucking consider what Israel's doing to be a genocide and want to stop it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That is. You don't get to angle this as I am doing reasonable, moderate centrism to win this fucking election against Mike Rogers. This is stupid. This is dumb. This is actually worse for independents.
So it is keeping the Democrats together, keeping the Democrats engaged, keeping our diverse communities together to recognize we have the shared goals. We do. And it's hard work, and it's work that I'm in every single day. So hopefully, you see, there's not disagreement here, but it is the work every single day.
God, I would love to have Mallory McMorrow on the show.
Keeping our people together so that we don't lose a seat to somebody who would rubber stamp everything Trump wants to do, who will certainly not end this war or secure security for Palestinians anytime soon if it were up to him.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up. I know you probably have to run, busy day running a campaign. I think neither of us would argue that like every Republican is doing all of this and worse, much worse. And none of us would argue, in favor of anything Trump is doing. I just think especially, during primary season.
No, this is a problem though. This is absolutely a problem. This was the problem with Trump versus Kamala Harris. When you take a wishy-washy attitude here, yeah, look, among independents, this is a new poll that just came out, 44% among independents sympathize with the Palestinians, while 29% side with Israel. 68% oppose U.S. providing military aid to Israel, while 28% support it. In case anyone cares about the general election, says Adil Haq, it's over. It's done. It's done. It's gone, baby. It's over. New York Times Siena poll, 37% of all Americans, including Republicans, sympathize more with the Palestinians in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, while 35% side with Israel. 57% oppose the U.S. providing military aid to Israel, while 37% support it. I'm a numbers guy. I chat GPT it. I grok it. It tells me you're a numbers guy. Patrick Bet David, you're a numbers guy. And it says the numbers tell me it's over. It's time. I look at my watch, very expensive watch. I look at it. It's Audemars Piguet. And the watch tells me it's time to say fuck Israel.
When we are, being given the chance to put our, what we think is our best Democrat forward, that we're, pushing you on some of these issues, because I think something that I'm sure you've heard is that a lot of Democratic voters feel like we have an establishment that isn't fighting sufficiently.
And I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
This is a party that's not meeting this moment, not only on this issue.
Yeah,
but
which is why I also will refuse to meet the moment. It's great.
on voting rights, on civil rights, on...
Could you ever be normal again if they ever actually let you on Patrick Bet David? Absolutely not. I would probably do a Patrick Bet David voice for the rest of my life if they finally let me on Valuetainment to valuetain the Valuetainment fans, because I'm a Valuetainment fan. I would probably rewatch my Valuetainment broadcast over and over again. I'd be grokking it. I'd be doing ChatGPT.
Childcare and healthcare and housing. There's so much at stake here, which is why I'm doing what I can. I believe truly that we built a blueprint in Michigan, in the legislature, when we flipped control of the legislature for the first time in my entire lifetime, that we can take with us to Washington and build a party that knows how to fight and knows how to win and knows how to actually get things done for people.
Totally. And I just want to mention, as a New Yorker, I got to rep my city and, push back on the idea that we have to make these sort of like middle of the road concessions on some of these issues, especially like a humanitarian issue. We had Mayor Zoran Mamdani, who just won in my city, and 1 in 10 Mamdani voters also voted for Trump. There was a small but mighty MAGA for Mamdani coalition, and you know what? It's confounding, but that's, I guess,
amazing.
It's amazing. It's how the world works, and he's someone who really didn't concede on his beliefs on any of these issues. So of course, I would be remiss if I did not encourage you to do the same. Mallory, thank you so much for joining today. I really mean it. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you to you both.
All right. I mean, it's fine. They held her feet to the fire. I wish they were a little bit more aggro, but they were. I mean, she is purposely very agreeable. She's a much better politician than I initially thought she was. Okay. It's this. She knows exactly how to sing to the tune of liberals in the exact same way that Pete Buttigieg does. I will admit, the fact that she even went on this obviously contentious interview is good. It automatically gives her brownie points. And while they did push her, they never actually got her to flub. She was very good at deflecting away from the main points.
Thank you to you both.
Cool. And that is our interview. I've been really enjoying talking to candidates, honestly, more than I thought I
I hate talking to candidates. I can't believe Matt likes talking to candidates. That's crazy.
would. And making these sort of like auxiliary episodes has just been a sort of nice creative outlet for me, in addition to like the conceptual episodes we make over here. I want to thank Mallory.
They were a million times nicer to her than anyone who's ever talked to Abdul. Oh, for sure. But you also can't come across like a you can't come across like you you got the knives out from the start.
Again, for coming on and giving us her time.
Lemafeo,
especially given
man,
that
you can't admit
she
that.
probably knew we'd disagree on some things. She was gracious for that, truly. And I owe it to you, the listener, to say that.
Okay, her final Matt's final conclusions are just please hear me out. This is only day 3 of me trying to get you to see the truth. It's a blue sky link. I'm not clicking on that. Patrick Buick David. What's Matt's last name? Bernstein. Yeah. Carjordy reported Matt Burnout Steen. Okay, stop. Stop with the car puns. Please stop with the car puns. No more. Patrick Bentley David. Oh my God. Updated. Mamdani stands by Nakba Day video amid fierce backlash. What backlash? Why the fuck is there any backlash to a recognition of an ethnic cleansing campaign that took place? Oh my God. Everything is busted, dude. We live in unbelievably busted times where if you fucking recognize a real ethnic cleansing campaign that took place, you're a bad guy. And the people that don't want you to recognize that ethnic cleansing campaign that took place are the good guys somehow.
Tonight, does the door need to remain open in order for you to continue to work with the Jewish community to fight anti-Semitism? And then, just on the substance of one of your posts last week.
Could I first answer the first question, then we'll go to the second one? Thank you very much. My message to Jewish leaders across this city is that my door is always open, that I look forward to welcoming a number of those leaders to Gracie Mansion this evening for Shavuot. And I also know that that is a door that we will keep open beyond just this evening's event, beyond just Jewish American Heritage Month. And it is part of a commitment to be the mayor for every New Yorker. And that means a mayor for those who voted for you, who didn't vote for you, who didn't vote at all. And that also means that there will be times where you will meet New Yorkers at an event, at a specific conversation, out on the street. I look forward to all of those interactions. Your second question.
My second question is, you want to be the mayor for all New Yorkers. You've made this promise. Yet, the city of New York seems to be now taking your, the city of New York posted this Nakba post last week, which was upsetting to some Jewish New Yorkers who felt that perhaps there at least should have been an acknowledgement that Holocaust survivors were also facing painful displacement. So, what should Jewish New Yorkers think about the fact that, using your official city account?
There are many Nakba survivors in New York City. Acknowledging everyone's pain does not produce you from the acknowledgement of other people's. Mamdani insists on his door is always open for Jewish leaders. She hits the Holocaust survivors are upset about it line, which is crazy. Like, can you imagine being like, hey, you recognize the horrifying nature of chattel slavery, but there are Holocaust survivors who were offended because it takes away from, their pain. The fuck? First of all, there are Holocaust survivors who also recognize the Nakba. Like, it's such a ridiculous fucking argument. Like, what do you mean? There are plenty of anti-Zionist Jews who survived the Holocaust as well, for the record.
You're now making certain statements about Israel, using your official city accounts. People understand your views on Israel, but, they don't necessarily feel like you speak out about all these other sorts of situations, other conflicts, other issues.
So I was proud to commemorate Nakba Day, which is an annual day on May 15th that commemorates the expulsion of more than 700,000 Palestinians from 1947 to 1945 during the creation of the State of Israel and for the year that followed. And it was a privilege to be able to share the story of Vinia and her story as not just a Nakba survivor, but also as a New Yorker. And I firmly believe that acknowledging any one's people pain does not preclude you from the acknowledgement of another people's. And when it comes to New Yorkers like Ania and so many others, not only has their pain never been acknowledged, but so often we have seen that even their identity is up for debate. And my message to each and every New Yorker is that this is a city for you, and that we will continue to...
For a little bit behind the scenes on the Nakba video, how can you give us more insight into those discussions? You're the first mayor to ever acknowledge this. How did you decide to do it in this way? Why didn't you appear in the video? Yeah, if you could just...
So May 15th has long been the day of commemorating the Nakba, and there are many Nakba survivors in New York City. And we wanted to ensure that the focus of this was just to hear from a New Yorker herself on her own memories of what it meant to be expelled and what her life has been like and how she has found that home in New York City. We wanted to have a Nakba survivor be at the focal point of this video as opposed to myself. I was intending to be there as part of it. However, I did fall sick and we didn't want...
Yeah, it's not like he didn't acknowledge Holocaust Remembrance Day. Like that would be insane and also completely inappropriate for the record, for any mayor to do. But yeah, it's crazy. Like they don't do this for Armenian Remembrance Day. I mean, Turks do. Turks get mad, right? But like no one gives a shit, and no one should give a shit. Do you see what I'm saying? Like not that long ago, last month, he put a post out for the recognition of the Armenian genocide. A lot of Turkish people got mad in New York City. There's Turks living in New York City. There was no media cycle, right? There was no fucking media cycle where people were taking sincerely the grievances of fucking Turks about Zoran's recognition of the Armenian genocide. It would have been fucking crazy. That would have been insane. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the New York Times or like any number of different articles being written about like, is Zoran Mamdani undermining the Turkish position on the Armenian genocide by recognizing the Armenian genocide? That'd be fucking crazy. Yeah, Mallory McMorrow would be like, my Turkish constituents don't like the term genocide. Eric Adams would never betray the Turks like that. Yeah, Eric Adams almost went to prison for his, for his loyalty to the Turk. Shout out Eric Adams, the real mayor, my real mayor. Okay. Yeah. There is no, you know what's really fucked up? It literally is the same as like people that sound pissy, people that get pissy that Juneteenth is a holiday. That's what you fucking sound like when you're like, oh, how dare you recognize the Nakba? Your analysis of Maureen Galindo was correct. She's a fan of Professor Jiang. Yo! I know my cranks, dude. I know my fucking cranks. Okay. I'm telling you. She's got something. She's got something that might be magic. Okay? She got something. Maureen Galindo might have something that we cannot understand yet. Okay? Okay. A Professor Jiang lover can spot one in the crowd like a fucking stand user. Okay? That's who I am for all of you. I got a real eye for this sort of thing. Okay? I'm telling you, I love my cranks. I know my cranks. When I see a chunkist in the wild, I can spot them from a mile away. Yeah. Acknowledging the existence of Palestinians hurts my feelings and is a form of racism is an insane belief. It is diluted in racism and solipsistic. Why does anyone have to take these lunatics seriously? Yup. Yeah, my spidey senses tingled when I learned about the existence of Maureen Galindo. Did you miss the New York Times? No, you didn't. I mean, I basically gave you some top line like Israel related parts of the New York Times. I'm sure Harry Emden will do a whole piece on it, and then we'll look at it Holy Toledo style later.
Toledo.
Also, Turks did get mad about Mamdani's Armenian genocide recognition. Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. What do you mean? Like, that's my point. There's no motion in this. no one in the media takes that shit seriously. That's my argument. My argument is like, yeah, Turks get mad about it, but no one gives a fuck, right? It's like totally ridiculous. If this was no serious institution, no serious newspaper in circulation in the United States of America would ever genuinely bring this up with one of their beat reporters. Okay? Why aren't you defending Eric Adams, a real warrior for the Turkish people? Always and forever. Okay? We lost the real one. We lost the fucking real one with Eric Adams. What a shame. What a shame that Zoran did taqiya to me, okay? As a Shia 12er, he did taqiya to me, Sunni Muslim, classic, and caused me to believe in him. And then he betrayed the Turks. Erik Adamoğlu would never betray the Turks. Many of you don't understand. Many of you don't understand. You say, oh, he became Albanian afterwards. It's like a loss for New York, but a gain for Albania. Albania is the most Turk-coded European country out there anyway. So like his move to become Albanian has made him even more Turkish than before. Truly an honorary Turk. He even severely mismanaged the budget and committed petty corruption. Oh my God, that's right. Eric Adams, in many respects, was ahead of the game because there has been a real alarming Turkification of American politics, something that I've talked about quite a bit. And honestly, Eric Adams was doing all of that. That is unbelievably Turkified. Respect to Erik Adamoğlu, okay? Ankara impressed. Anyway, United States is headed in the wrong track. 57% of U.S. voters says. Don't know, 11%. Right track, 32%. Nation's economy, poor, 49%. Net fair / poor at 76%. Excellent / good at 22%. Oh, my God. Thinking ahead of the November midterm elections, are you almost certain that you will vote? Very likely to vote, somewhat likely to vote. Almost certain across all U.S. registered voters at 43%. Not at all likely at 5%. Not very likely at 2%. Somewhat likely at 11%. If we look at the crosstabs, I want to see from party ID. Almost certain at 51% for Republicans. Almost certain of Republicans, or 51% for Democrats. 43% for Republicans. 39% for Indy. It's not looking too good for the Republicans there. Very likely at 40% for Republicans, very likely at 38%. Somewhat likely at 10% for Republicans and 2% not very likely, and not at all likely at 4% for Republicans. Nice. Looking back at combined congressional ballot, includes leaners. If 2026 general election for Congress were held today, which party would you vote for? Which candidate? Democratic candidate, 50%. Republican candidate, 39%. Comparing Trump-Harris results in the final 2024 New York Times Siena poll with today's generic ballot, the only group that hasn't swung towards them is white college grads, probably because their 2024 voting preferences were never about gas prices and inflation. This is consistent with what we find in our surveys, too. It's an apocalyptic 2026 environment for Republicans. Our definitely probably voting metrics were D plus 10 a month ago, but one driven by young Hispanic and non-white voters rather than whites and white college voters. Now, I'm not, contrary to my Patrick Bet David impersonation, I'm not a fucking numbers wizard, okay? I'm a numbers guy, but I'm not a numbers wizard, okay? But I told you this a fucking mile away. I told you this was going to happen, that they were going to snap back. Low propensity voters and voters that voted for Donald Trump for the first time ever, that thought it was a gamble and that they were like, fuck it, we ball. Let's break this system all together. It's not working. Would realize very quickly that Trump was not going to follow through on his promises, and they snapped back. The problem is, it's not enough. The Democrats need to do more, and they're not doing more. Their communications, their comms are ass. Okay, why do PBD and Big Yahoo sound alike? Why you wear accountant uniform, if not numbers guy? This is not an accountant uniform. This is a young college Republicans uniform, if anything. Trump net approval 37%, which is still unbelievably high, by the way. Holy fuck. And net disapproval at 59%. Goku Ash Naruto says cope. I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, because I said young? Is that why you wanted to hit me on that? You son of a bitch. Anyway, let's take a look at some other polls that came out while I go pee.
Say they're stretching their budgets. In a new CBS News poll out this morning, 59% of Americans say gas prices are a financial hardship. 65% say the U.S. economy is performing badly, and 67% disapprove of how President Trump is handling the economy. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with some of the implications. And Ed, it's an election year, and people vote with their pocketbooks.
They sure do, Nora. Very good to see you. Happy Monday. President Trump is back from his trip to China, and he's facing new lows in our CBS News poll for his handling of the economy. With gas prices up more than 50% since the start of the war, the president's now ramping up his threats to Iran. The clock is ticking. President Trump warned Iran better get moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them.
We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Just days after insisting he's more worried about that than how the war is affecting Americans back at home.
I don't think about Americans' financial situation.
A new CBS News poll finds 7 in 10 say they're frustrated or even angry about Trump's approach to the economy. 2/3 say his policies are making it worse. And 77% say incomes aren't keeping up with inflation. House Speaker Mike Johnson acknowledged Iran is a drag on the president's poll numbers.
As soon as we get that straightened out, we will get back to the kitchen table issues.
But Trump did notch another big victory over the weekend.
Thank you, Louisiana!
In Louisiana's Republican Senate primary, Trump-backed Congresswoman Julia Letlau now heads to a runoff after defeating Senator Bill Cassidy, who voted to convict Trump in his impeachment trial after the January 6th attacks. On Saturday, Cassidy said this about how to handle political defeats.
You don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen.
Now, attention turns tomorrow to Kentucky, where the president's trying to unseat one of his top House Republican critics, Thomas Massie. Massie has bucked Trump for years on policy, including his handling of the war with Iran and the Jeffrey Epstein investigation.
They're desperate. That's why they're sending the Secretary of War to my district tomorrow. That's why the president's losing sleep.
Dude, this is one of the most insane stories, by the way. As of like this past month, given by expenditure, the Thomas Massie primary has been the most expensive, historically the most expensive primary. Number 2 is Jamal Bowman, and number 3 is Cori Bush. Notice a pattern there. Do you see what's going on? What's going on? Democracy is supposed to be a pressure valve, a civic duty. And yet, democracy is no longer as democratic. Foreign lobbies are spending billions of dollars, sometimes dumping $10 million into one Democratic primary race to make sure that certain Democratic candidates are unseated. What's going on? What happened to the democracy I love? What happened to the country I love? The top 3 most expensive House primaries in history have all involved pro-Israel group spending to get rid of an Israel critic. Number 1 at Thomas Massie, number 2 at Bowman, and number 3 at Cori Bush. How ridiculous. KY4 being the most expensive primary in history is objectively nuts, and clear evidence is about sending a message more than Massie as such. Why is this appropriate? Why is this allowed? Seriously. Massie's being targeted because he represents his actual district, not Israel, and he refused to back down over the Epstein file cover-up. It's crazy that any Republican would want to replace him. GOP elderlies need to find some self-respect and vote for a man with a backbone. And yes, finally, with the tens of millions of dollars dumped in to this race, of course, it worked. Eddie Gallrain is at 51%, and Thomas Massie as incumbent is at 44%. Two factors at play here, obviously. The fact that Donald Trump is aggressively posturing against Thomas Massie, but also the incredible amounts of money into opposition research and marketing. And what's even crazier is Ed Gallrain has not even done like a fraction of the campaigning that Thomas Massie is engaging in right now. It's so fucking annoying.
There's been a lot of talk about a civil war inside MAGA.
We've talked about some fissures that have emerged among conservatives.
Fissures, yeah, it's blown up.
The administration's top counterterrorism official resigning in protest over President Trump's war with Iran.
Betrayed his campaign.
Massie also rejects the left very aggressively. He might lose in Kentucky. Are you insane? For a fucking lifelong deep red Republican? No, of course he's going to fucking reject Republican. He's a psycho, first of all. Like, I have respect for him for having consistency on this position and standing by his convictions. But that doesn't mean that he's like a good guy overall or has a decent worldview. Of course he's going to be fucking anti-left.
How much
25th Amendment is
I mean, honestly, like the president at 380 chest, fucking shut up about that shit.
That fight might be coming to a head right here in northern Kentucky.
This guy named Thomas Massie. There's something wrong with him.
Representative Thomas Massie has held this seat since 2012, and despite his loyal support for the Republican agenda,
I vote with my party 91%. 91% of the time.
He's in trouble, big trouble, with President Trump.
Thomas Massie is a disaster for our party.
What's landed him in this fight for political survival? Two issues that have the potential to split the MAGA base: foreign wars and the Epstein files.
It's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion.
This is bigger than Watergate.
Major combat operations in Iran.
I don't think we should start another war.
Because of this, Massie is now facing a Trump-endorsed challenger in his campaign for re-election.
This is a real hero, Ed Gallrain.
And big money is backing up.
Doesn't even know his fucking name, by the way.
Trump's attempt to smear Massie. This is officially the most expensive U.S. House primary in history, with over $25.6 million spent on ads.
Where'd that money come from?
It didn't come from regular people. It's come from billionaires. At least 95% has come from the Israeli lobby.
But this race isn't just about Massie and Trump. It's a litmus test for the future of the MAGA coalition. So I'm driving around Kentucky to find Trump voters and ask them, what's driving their vote in this primary? Is it loyalty to the president? Or are the cracks in MAGA really starting to form?
Hey, we're down making a video. We're looking to talk to voters about the Republican primary that's coming up. Can we talk to you a little?
This guy is awesome because he looks and speaks fluent Haganese. Okay? He's so perfect for this. I swear to God. Every time, he just does not stick out at all. Like, you see this guy in the fucking Tractor Supply Co. parking lot, you're like, oh, he's just, purchasing tractor supplies. I think he's from West Virginia, right? Originally. He's so great.
A little bit about it?
Well, yeah, okay.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Or no, not West Virginia. He's a Northeast Ohio boy? Okay.
Yes, I did.
I voted for Trump this last election.
I've got my Make America Great Again hat at home.
It's nice and refreshing to actually have someone to stand up and say, enough's enough. And so that's why I've been a Trump supporter. And why anybody opposes that, I think you're a traitor to this country.
President Trump laid out the stakes for his base in this election. Are they loyal to him or not? And with his popularity lower than ever, it might be a question of the strength of MAGA as we know it. So we asked Massie about it.
Do you view your race as a fork in the road for the MAGA base?
Well, I think the MAGA base is already split, as you point out. Some have gone with the principles that Trump campaigned on. Some have gone with Trump, even when he's changed his mind on things like Epstein.
Okay, let's dig into Epstein first. For supporters of the president, the promise Trump and company made on this issue was clear.
Would you declassify?
Thinks they sell stuff at tractors, stuff for tractors at Tractor Supply, lol, winky face. Brother, I'm a city boy. I grew up not only in American cities, but I grew up in Turkish cities. Okay, I grew up in Istanbul and Ankara, and then I went to Miami, and then to New Jersey, and then now I live in Los Angeles. I have never even seen I've never even been around a Tractor Supply. I don't even think I've been around a Tractor Supply. I've been all around the country. I've been to the South. I've never seen a fucking Tractor Supply. It's not Tannerite. They sell explosives. Hell yeah, partner. I fucking love me some Tannerite. I love shooting a Tannerite with my 50 cal. A little bit of overkill, but I love doing it anyway. I bought ducks at Tractor Supply once. I love me some ducks to shoot at as well as Tannerite. I get beekeeping supplies there sometimes. It's kind of somewhere between a small town hardware store and a Home Depot. Nice. Stop LARPing. I ain't LARPing. I love shooting me some Tannerite. You know what I like getting at Tractor Supply Co.? Ivermectin, and not for my horsies, if you know what I mean. Ivermectin for me, and a little bit of ivermectin for the ponies. That's right.
Epstein files.
Yeah, I would.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
But that urgency from the campaign trail seemed to evaporate once Trump was in office.
I thought it was ridiculous.
John Wardrop voted for Trump in 2024. He told me that the whole Epstein thing was a big reason why.
I thought it was completely ridiculous for the people who had gone on the podcasts, millions and millions of views, and then turning around and calling it a hoax, or that there's nothing in here. And I don't know if anyone in this country is going to get arrested for it, but there's only one guy that's really trying, and that's Thomas Massie.
Massie is the co-author of the bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act, which he guided through a hostile Republican Congress to force a public release of documents related to the case.
We fought the president, the attorney general, the FBI director, the Speaker of the House, and the vice president to get this win.
But now that they're out, how do the voters feel?
You think those files should have been released?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you're happy with how Massey's fought?
Yes.
For that?
Yes.
Look at that goddamn tie, brother. Hell yeah, Vietnam veteran of the Army. These are the real Americans, okay? None of them pussy boys with an English degree from a liberal arts university. Oh, this was a fire. Yeah.
We got to
certainly have that as well. Yeah.
It's so bad, dude. I grew up.
Debating a Texas Republican IRL featuring Austin and Will Neff. This was awesome. Except I don't think I can get away with doing this shit anymore. This was fucking 4 years ago. This was 5 years ago. Not 4 years ago. This was literally 5 years ago, almost down to the day. And I don't think I have the low profile necessary to do that. I've been on Fox News too much. So there's no way that I could do incognito at that point. Yeah, Muslimic. God, we had such fucking fun times, though. You know what I mean? God, I was so freaking fat, too. Look at my fit. Oh, God. What am I wearing, dude? What was I doing? Why did nobody stop me? What was my hair? Everything that I had on was just garbanzo, dude. Fuck.
Okay, the file thing, to me, that's a dead horse, okay?
No corona face mask, brother. We were in Texas. They shoot your ass if you wear a corona. Fake corona face mask in the midst of the pandemic, brother. We're in a goddamn cowboy store. Think I'd be caught dead wearing one of them pussy diapers on my face? Are you out of your goddamn mind? For the China virus?
End of story.
I say release it and let the cards fall where they may. You know, who knows? Maybe it might implicate Mr. Trump or President Trump.
The Epstein files, they're not important to me. Everybody and their brother's on it. I mean, what are you going to do?
And I'm certain Republican and Democrat,
They would have lassoed me right there in their cowboy store. Ooh, like a pig. They would have lassoed me and lathered me up. They would have had their way with me, patriotic style. Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
A lot of them don't want it released because there's something in there that's going to come back and bite them in the buttocks.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome. I can't believe real humans talk like this. God damn. He said buttocks.
But with no new convictions following the release of the files, it seems like the only ones bit in the buttocks are the Republicans who actually followed through on Trump's own campaign promise.
He was extremely angry at me that I had signed the discharge petition.
Stupid people like Marjorie Trader.
I believe he's trying to protect friends and donors.
Perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, this stupid person named Massey.
It's typical politician stuff, breaking promises that helped get you elected. But a lot of people voted for Trump because he said he wasn't like your typical politician, and they believed him when he made big promises.
At the top of my list will be stopping the slide into costly and never-ending wars. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace.
When Donald Trump was campaigning, one of his big campaign talking points was no new wars, no foreign wars.
Yeah.
How important was that to you during the campaign?
That was really important. You're going to ask me about Iran next.
Of course.
For a self-described America First peace candidate, the president's second term has been international and violent. And Republicans on the whole have been pretty silent, except for Massey. In January, U.S. military intervention in Venezuela forced a regime change.
The executive's military exercise to capture the leader of Venezuela represents one of the most blatant usurpations of congressional authority we have seen in modern times.
In February, the U.S. and Israel began military engagements in Iran.
Why are we going to war with Iran? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war.
Massey's opposition to this war is one of the reasons why the pro-Israel lobby has spent so much against him. The United Democracy Project, a super PAC linked to AIPAC, has spent $2.6 million on anti-Massey ads, and the Republican Jewish Coalition spent $4 million. Another super PAC named MAGA Kentucky, which is backed by 3 pro-Israel mega donors, Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, and John Paulson, has spent $5.6 million. But what do voters, who were promised no new wars, make of all of this?
How important when you were voting for him was that campaign promise?
It was really important. Trump is actually backpedaled.
Yeah.
He's backpedaled.
How did you feel once that campaign promise was broken and now we're in Iran?
Because he's doing what BB tells him to do, and that's AIPAC, and I'm not for that.
It needed to be done for a long time.
Did you also feel that way when Trump was running, promising not to get into wars? Did you feel like, well, even though he's promising this, we do need to go to Iran?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He's the only person that didn't kick the can down the road, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing that for 47 years.
Yeah.
Somebody had to stand up and do something.
That was important to you.
Yeah.
Now we're in Iran. How does that land with you?
I haven't got an opinion on it. It depends how it turns out.
Very
What the
conclusive,
fuck?
Totally makes sense.
Representative Massey has been the most vocal Republican critic of the administration and his party, and not just on Epstein and foreign conflicts. Where the Trump administration has been pushing for immunity for pesticide manufacturers for the use of potentially cancerous chemicals, Massey has been pushing to hold those companies accountable.
They want get-out-of-court-free cards. We're not going to give it to them.
He voted against Trump's big, beautiful bill.
Well, guess what? It added $2 trillion to the debt. I said it would, and it has.
And he bucked the majority of his party by voting against an extension on legislation that allows the U.S. government to spy on its own citizens.
A short-term infringement of the Constitution is still an infringement of the Constitution.
All of this independence, it's made him vulnerable in this primary race.
Give me somebody with a warm body to beat Massey.
Massey's primary is May 19th. He's up against Ed Gowron, Trump's hand-chosen opponent.
He's a hero. He's a farmer hero.
In a way, the election is a test of the price anyone might pay for going against Trump. Will Massey be punished by voters for disloyalty or rewarded for his independence.
How important is it to have someone who's just loyal to Donald Trump and whatever he says versus putting a check on Donald Trump?
No, definitely putting a check. You should put a check on anybody because there shouldn't be one person to rule the country.
Okay, now.
How did Hogs learn about AIPAC? It's awesome, dude. It's because it's over. It's fucking Jover. That's why.
So that's a fine line there too. As long as your president is taking care of the country and the people from the country, then I give him 100% support. No matter what.
So, back to the reason I came out here. Which way are these voters leaning?
Is it enough that Trump supports his opponent? Would that do it for you?
No, I don't know that would swing it one way or the other. I'll look at it.
What do you think of Thomas Massey?
I think he's good. I like what he's going for. I'll definitely vote for him.
Are you voting for Ed in this race?
Yes, I am.
And what's behind that? What makes you vote for Ed?
Well, number one, Trump's endorsing him. That helps.
Fuck me, dude. Of not a single thought inside of that thing, okay? Not a single thought in that noggin, bro. Not a single one. Well, Trump is my God, and I love it. I love him. He is my Alpha and Omega. Donald Trump is God, and God demands that I vote for this new guy now. Him and the dog share the same brain cell? No, the dog is way smarter than this fucking thing. The dog has survival instincts. He does not.
I believe that Thomas Massey was MAGA before MAGA was coined phrase.
I want a clear thinker. I want somebody to make their own decision, not make a phone call. How should I vote?
So does Massey have your vote?
Massey has my vote.
I talked to a lot of voters on this trip. What I found is that while there are some cracks in the MAGA movement, we don't know where they're going to go yet. And even the people crossing the president's endorsement and voting for Massey don't see it as turning against Trump.
You want more Masseys? Yeah.
Yeah, if we get enough of them, and if maybe a few more Trumps, we can actually get stuff moving.
If that contradiction sounds confusing to you, you have to remember, voting against Trump's preferred candidate is still a big deal, even if the voters I talk to don't see it that way. Up until now, almost all of Trump's endorsements...
It's a cult. 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 It's a fucking cult. It's a fucking cult. That's it. It's a cult. And I do think that because it's a fucking cult, this like relatively unknown Ed Gallagher or Ed Galrain or whatever the fuck his name is might actually win. And he's done like, he has such little presence, an unbelievable amount of money that they're spending against Massey, and it still doesn't fucking matter. It's a goddamn cult. Trump said it. And on top of that, there's like, 15 million or even more than that now. A tremendous amount of money being spent here. And centrist Dems want to win over said cult. Wow, what other conclusion can you come to other than we should reorient the entire pro-Palestine project towards groveling at these demographics? Yeah. The only demographic groups with majority support for additional funding to Israel are voters who approve of Trump as 68%, Republicans at 66%, Trump voters at 62%, voters 65 plus at 53%. The West and Northeast are the least pro-Israel, while the South is the most pro-Israel. Evangelicals are in a death cult, okay? And that death cult has a leader. His name is Donald Trump. It's over. Just stop trying to win these fucking guys over, okay? There is any calculation that revolves around trying to win this suicide pact cult, this suicide cult that exists in the United States of America that just genuinely wants to commit suicide, by the way, that's what the rapture is delusional. You're out of your fucking mind. Stop. You can win them over by saying, hey, I know you're in a suicide cult, but in the interim, before the rapture happens, would you like some health care? And if they say yes, then great. But trying to reorient your politics to win these fucking psychos over is insane. Okay? It's insane. You are not going to win them over with centrism anyway, because there's always more madness on the other side of the cult. You can't just be like 20% of the way into the cult to win these guys over. It doesn't work that way. What the fuck? You know what's really fucking annoying about this shit too? Like with the whole like Kamala could have won people, right? The Kamala just didn't pivot and didn't hard pivot to being moderate hard enough. Now all of those people recognize that it is a cult. On the one hand, they say it's a fucking cult. On the other hand, they still go, and we got to win them over with more moderate positions. You just don't want to win. You don't want to win at all. Okay? That's all this is. Isn't this basically what we wanted a President Bernie Sanders to do? Use his power to target corrupt Democrats and help install his ideological allies in Congress? Yes, except Bernie Sanders is good and Trump is bad. Both in Bernie Sanders and Trump can have good politics, but have diametrically opposite policy. Okay? Trump has horrifyingly bad policy. Good politics. I'm not going to argue against it. I mean, he's ruling with a goddamn iron fist. They're doing good politics. Trump is doing good politics. He's doing horrible policy, though. He's doing good politics to advance a horrible policy agenda. Okay? Ugh. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Picks have won their primaries. And this isn't just about the voters in the district. Politicians across the country are going to be watching the results of this race closely to find out what are the consequences for standing up to Donald Trump in 2026. Maybe that's why even Massey, the Trump-critical candidate, is campaigning on their similarities and not on their differences. Despite being the target of the president's rage and the receiving end of millions of PAC dollars spent against him,
he's cheating with the squad on the America First movement.
Massey told me,
I'm telling you right now, dude, like, this is about subverting democracy. It's not about the democratic process, right? And it's certainly not about policies. It's certainly not about like someone who will fight for you. We saw this in Idaho, right? We saw this in Idaho in the primaries. We saw this with what's his face, the doctor that dared, who just lost his seat. He couldn't even get third. He barely got third place as the incumbent in Louisiana. Okay. What's his name? Bill? Was it Bill Cassidy? Like, it's just a fucking cult. It's just a goddamn cult. That's all it is. What Trump says goes. Okay. Trump is God. And if Trump says, you know, Massey's got to go, there's a good chunk of Republicans that will say, all right, Massey's got to go. That's it. We got to vote him out. He's betrayed MAGA, because MAGA is not a certain set of defined principles. It's whatever fucking Trump says it is. That's all this is.
He doesn't see much of a problem.
I'm not running against Donald Trump. I'm running against a guy who was endorsed by Donald Trump. People recognize that, and the bulk of my voters in my polling are people who support Trump and support me. I think if I win this race, we can get the team back together. We can get the band back together.
Yeah.
It shows that you can still be for the principles that MAGA ran on.
We'll find out if that's true or not with next week's election results. But this race has got me thinking about a bigger question too. How many broken promises is too many? And which promises are the ones that matter?
Do you think if Donald Trump continues to break campaign promises, that he puts at risk the movement of people who believed?
100%. He risks people.
Yeah, Cassidy came in third place just because he voted to convict Trump for January 6th 5 years ago. That is where the Republican Party's politics is. Also, holy shit, look at the belt. That's where it is. That's where the Republican Party's politics is. They hold on to like insane, idiotic grievances of politicians that have offended Donald Trump. Donald Trump's grievances are their grievances. It's just a cult. How else can you describe it? There is no other way to describe it.
Even if he might be right on some things, feeling at least like they were lied to, or even worse, betrayed.
Because broken political promises have actual costs.
How's the pain at the pump been lately?
Oh, it sucks, especially with the business we got and we're trying to start. We started this spring. 3 Amigos Lawn Care. It's me and my 2 brothers, and right now we're behind just because of the gas.
Yeah.
Because when we first was planning it all, the prices weren't here.
Yeah.
So I did vote for Trump, but Trump here lately, I've been kind of, because everything he's saying ain't really happening, you know? I do call myself a Republican, but who knows, 5 years from now, things might change.
Smash like and subscribe to More Perfect Union like Phil right here. Right, Phil?
Yeah.
And if you liked what was in this video, you can leave story ideas in the comments. You can Tag us on Twitter like Phil here.
A TikTok to cheer you up. Okay, checking Twitter on my laptop. Dude, come on. We watched this so many times today. It's so funny. Yeah, Trump is live with the farmers thing that he's doing. I don't really care about that, though. Let's get back to modern day America right now. Americans largely disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy. CBS News.
You heard the congressman say it there. The Pentagon confirmed Secretary Pete Hegseth is set to make a campaign-style appearance today in his, quote, personal capacity for Congressman Massey's Trump-backed opponent, Ed Gulrine. It's already the most expensive House primary campaign in history, totaling more than $25 million spent so far, Gail.
All right, we'll see how this turns out tomorrow. Ed, thank you very much.
And we're joined now by Republican Congressman Thomas Massey. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning. You just heard Congressman Raskin right there saying the Democrats are going to move to block this funding if the deal goes through. Will you vote to block it?
Well, I think we should change the laws. It's almost impossible to sue the federal government if they infringe on your First Amendment, your Second Amendment, or your Fourth Amendment. And so we should change those laws so that to give people standing when they've had their rights violated.
Trump's taking questions on Iran right now? Oh, nice. Okay.
Getting very close to making a deal, and if we can do that where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also. We've informed Israel, we've informed other people in the Middle East that have been involved with us, and it's a very positive development, but we'll see whether or not it amounts to anything. We've had periods of time where we thought pretty much getting close to making a deal, and didn't work out, but this is a little bit different. Now, we're ready going tomorrow, very big, and not something I wanted to do, but we have no choice because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Yeah.
$7 billion.
Yeah.
Why should taxpayers pay for the January 6th?
Well, it's been very well received, I have to tell you. I know very little about it. I wasn't involved in the whole creation of it and the negotiation. But this is reimbursing people that were horribly treated, horribly treated. It's anti-weaponization. They've been weaponized. They've been, in some cases, imprisoned wrongly. They paid legal fees that they didn't have. They've gone bankrupt. Their lives have been destroyed. And they turn out to be right. I mean, it was a terrible period of time in the history of our country. And they worked on it. I know the Justice Department, it's really been working on it very hard. There's been numerous other occasions over the years where things like this have been done, but these were people that were weaponized and really treated brutally by a system that was so corrupt, with corrupt people running it, and they're getting reimbursed for their legal fees and the other things that they had to suffer. Yeah, please. Daniel, go ahead. Hold it, Daniel, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's pretty remarkable seeing you and Mark Cuban up there, and the fact that obviously Mark endorsed Kamala Harris back in 2021.
Well, he made a mistake. It was a big mistake.
What does this say about what you two are building here?
Well, it says we love people. We love our country. He's got a good company, and he's going to do a lot of business with this. And I'm going to get drugs out through Amazon, through the whole group, and we're going to get drugs out. And Mark wanted to be a part of it. And I think Mark was very gracious. He said, this is something that really works. The first time you've seen it. And he had to believe that if he said it about me. You have to understand that. But look, I think I have a lot of respect for Mark, frankly, and I always have. I'm concerned about everything, but certainly am. I think that, it's been confined right now to Africa. But it's something that has had a breakout. I could ask Bobby or Oz to say a couple of words about it, if you'd like. Do you want to do that?
I think Heidi Overton is going to come up and give us a few words here. Dr. Overton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, the CDC held a press briefing that provided a lot of the answers and information, but we have stood up a full interagency response. The Department of State, the CDC, the Department of War, everyone is fully involved in tracking. Today, we do have an announced today at the press briefing. There is an American that is symptomatic and has tested positive for it's the Bundibuja virus, a strain of Ebola. That American, as well as 6 other high-risk contacts, are going to be taken out of that region and taken to Germany. We want to thank our German counterparts.
Yo, that shit jumps to America, we're fucking dead, dude. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what the leadership of RFK Jr. looks like with Ebola, it's so Jover. Oh my fucking God.
We have instituted just today entry restrictions for non-U.S. citizens that are that have been in the region in the past 21 days. So in Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. So very serious measures that have been taken. We are working to communicate very frequently with everyone. Your question was, should Americans be worried? Right now, there are.
Everyone will take mandatory ivermectin to make sure that the fake virus of Ebola is cured. It's both fake, but also you should still take ivermectin for it. It's so good.
Well, they dangled a peace deal in front of you saying one was coming. Nothing has come into fruition. You mentioned this.
Well, a lot's come into fruition. We've taken a country that was going to have a nuclear weapon, and we've virtually destroyed its military. They have no navy. They have no air force. They've been virtually destroyed militarily. That's a lot. That's a big. We could leave right now. It would take them 25 years to rebuild. And the last thing they're thinking about, I think, is nuclear. Now they have to put it down in writing. But when you say nothing, we've totally destroyed. Excuse me, from CNN. We've totally destroyed their military. We've destroyed their leadership. As you know, their leaders are gone. Their leaders are gone at the first level. The second level, we're dealing with half of the third level. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And it's very simple. You know, we don't want to go through this. We had the greatest economy ever. We still do. The stock market hit a brand new high a little while ago.
Brother, I know Ebola is not as transmissible because it kills. RFK would find a way to make it. RFK would be like, you need to all get Ebola to make sure we develop a strong herd immunity.
Iran, because they are desperate to have a nuclear weapon, and the only reason they want it is to use it. And I said, I hate to do this because we're doing so well, but this is the most important thing we can do. We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So we did that. And when we did that, we were met with a little force, and we ended up destroying them. We now have a tremendous, we built really a steel wall where no boats to blockade, where no boats are able to, not one boat has been able to get through our blockade.
So good.
Look, our
blockade is even better than the Iranian one.
Anywhere in the world. I just left China, and I will say President Xi was very, very complimentary of our military. He was amazed, actually, at our military. We have the greatest military in the world. We're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So I was called by these three countries, plus others, and they're dealing directly with our people and, right now, Iran. And there seems to be a very good chance that they can work something out. If we can do that without bombing the hell out of them, I'd be very happy. Please.
Do you believe that people who committed violence against Capitol Hill police officers on January 6th should be eligible for compensation from this DOJ fund? And are you or your family members going to be seeking compensation from that fund?
It'll all be dependent.
Why is RFK's ties so thin? He likes his thin ties, man.
Talented people, very highly respected people. I think it's a committee of 5. And again, I didn't do this deal. It was told to me yesterday. They said they're doing something. I do believe there has to be compensation for people that were destroyed. You have families absolutely destroyed, and it's all going to be determined by a committee of 4
The IRS thing is so nutty, bro. Also, new reporting came out this morning or yesterday that Trump has made $700 million to almost $1 billion in trades in the beginning of this year alone. It's just so much corruption. So much fucking corruption. And now they're dropping the IRS case, and they're forcing the IRS to do a $1.7 billion slush fund that Trump has complete control over. He has complete control over the slush fund, and he's going to use that slush fund to pay out January 6 families. Okay? Which, by the way, he probably won't even do that. He'll probably just like take the money and pocket it. But like, what the fuck are we doing? How are Americans not grabbing their pitchforks? How are the Trump supporters not grabbing their pitchforks? Oh, that's right, because it's a fucking cult.
Really? Do you really
it's
want
a
to
cult.
Please, sir. I'll lose my job if I don't do it. I was very proud to hand her identification and everything else. I mean, you want to have proof of citizenship. You want to have a voter ID. You want to have all these things. But to me, maybe the worst of all is the mail-in ballots where They come in. So, as you know, in Maryland, 500,000 fake ballots were sent out. When they were caught, they said, "Oh, we'll pull them back," and they issued 500,000 new ballots. And as you know, they never got the original ballots back. So there are 1 million ballots out there. Many of them went to Democrats, and it's a very serious thing. And I'll tell you, I've looked at Maryland for a long time, and I know Maryland pretty well. And I was told that it's automatically a Democrat state. And I don't believe that, because I think I did really well there, and I don't believe it. But they issued, as you just got caught recently, 500,000 ballots, illegal ballots were sent out, and they were totally fraudulent. And then they said, "Oh, we'll pull them back." Well, they didn't pull them back, and they have 500,000 new ballots go.
I would have won in California if it wasn't for the mail-in ballots.
They come in and infect our system. So it's a very, very serious thing that's happened, and I've asked the law enforcement to look at it very, very strenuously. I want to thank you all. We're so proud of it. And I want to thank Bobby and Oz and Mark and all of the people that are here. And Joe, great job. You are really something. I heard about you for a long time, and now you're doing something that's more important than anything you've ever done. And you've done some beauties. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
How are they missing? And he knows they went to the Democrats? Yeah, no, he knows. I know it. Otherwise, it would. Any vote that was cast against me is obviously a fake vote. All right, getting back to Thomas Massie. As you guys might have noticed, we're talking quite a bit about how cultish MAGA is. And of course, Thomas Massie is on the receiving end of the MAGA cult for standing by his constituents and also standing by his principles.
Because people have been wronged. We need to make it easier to get that money, but that's action that Congress needs to take. I don't think you can do that. You can't just take $1 billion or $10 billion unilaterally with the executive branch. Congress has the power of the purse.
So to be clear, then you would vote to block this funding and change the law in other ways?
I don't think there's going to be a vote to block the funding. I would change the law in other ways.
Well, the congressman just said there would be. I guess we'll find out if there is. Meantime, you're facing a primary on Tuesday. In the wake of Senator Bill Cassidy's loss in the primaries yesterday in Louisiana, the president has been up posting on Truth Social throughout the night and into the morning about you. Just a few minutes ago, he posted this. I want to show our viewers right now. Bad Congressman Tom Massie voted against tax cuts, the border wall, our military enforcement. Actually, he voted against almost everything that is good. The worst congressman in history. Kentucky, vote the bum out on Tuesday. We can't live with this troublemaker for another 2 years. He's a true negative force. Your response?
Well, I think that's going to help my fundraising at thomasmassie.com. Every time he tweets about me, it's good for, some money coming in, because people don't like that. And, how did this race become the most expensive race in the history of Congress for a primary? It's because 3 billionaires from outside of Kentucky have funneled millions of dollars in here. They're trying to buy a seat. And so it's not just the president's tweets. I could sustain those without a problem. It's because Miriam Adelson and Paul Singer have dumped money in here. In fact, Miriam Adelson has given so much money to my opponent that instead of paying for the ballroom, they're going to need taxpayer money for the ballroom now.
Well, you've actually said this week that your vote is a referendum on whether Israel gets to buy seats in Congress. What did you mean by that?
Well, the RJC, AIPAC, and Miriam Adelson and Paul Singer, they're all part of the Israeli lobby, and that's where all the money comes from. And it will be a referendum on foreign policy, whether Israel gets to dictate that by, bullying members of Congress. And I'm the one they haven't been able to bully, so they're putting all the brunt and the force on me. But you can tell that I'm ahead in the polls and they're desperate. That's why they're sending the Secretary of War to my district tomorrow. That's why the president's losing sleep and tweeting about this. That's why...
Bro, is Chud Zoran? No. No, not at all. Because Trump loves Zoran. Trump fucking hates Thomas Massie. Ironically enough, he's actually kind of the opposite of Zoran in many respects, because Trump is more likely to endorse Zoran Mamdani for re-election before Thomas Massie, okay?
PAC has dumped another $3 million into my race this weekend. It's because they're panicked and they really haven't been able to gain a lead in this race.
You say the president is desperate, but he's got a pretty good record of defeating people he wants to target in Republican primaries. We saw Bill Cassidy yesterday. We saw what happened in Indiana. How are you going to be able to overcome the president's opposition?
Well, I have the endorsement of the Right to Life organizations, the gun organizations. I had 4 members of Congress come here yesterday and campaign with me. So my situation is a little bit different. Plus, I've had millions of dollars come in from the grassroots, tens of thousands of donors to my website, thomasmassey.com, and it's still coming in, and that's how we're going to beat them.
The Senate is poised to trying to pass $1 billion in funding for the White House renovation that includes the ballroom, the security funding. The parliamentarians ruled it out of order, but the Senate Republicans say they're going to fix that. If it comes to the House, will you vote for that funding?
No, I don't think we should. You know, we were originally told that the president's friends were going to pay for this ballroom. And again, one of those was Miriam Adelson, and I think she's poured so many millions of dollars in my race, they don't have enough money for the ballroom anymore from her account.
Congressman Massey, thanks for your time this morning.
Maybe Miriam Adelson and Paul Singer didn't particularly go to Epstein Island. They probably have enough money to buy their own islands. But they certainly go to dinner with the people that were at Epstein Island.
To Israel interests?
Of course. Like Jeffrey Epstein was part of Mossad's operations and even our own.
Congressman, do you think that all of this money that AIPAC and other pro-Israel donors are pouring into your race is equivalent to bribery? Is it quid pro quo?
Because it's all foreign interest money, I think it's a dangerous precedent. If this were people who cared about America and our Constitution and our infrastructure and our rule of law, that would be different, I think. But these folks are trying to send a message, which is, if you're a Republican, you better do whatever Israel wants. And I think it's going to backfire on them. They're going all in. They've pushed all the chips in. Miriam Adelson's probably spent more money on my race than she is on the ballroom.
What are your, would you extend that logic to the big pharmaceutical companies, the defense contractors that are big oil companies that are pouring money in? Do you think that that is also corrupting sort of the democratic will of the American people?
Well, AIPAC.
Now listen, I'm still a Republican now. Okay. I said AIPAC. I didn't say oil and gas was bad. Oh, come on, man. Not right now. Not right now. Let him say the chorus. That's good old wholesome American-born corruption. I like that. None of this Israeli corruption. Yeah, I said AIPAC, not all PACs.
AIPAC is kind of a proxy for the military-industrial complex. When they used to try to lobby me, they tried to convince me that the aid to Israel would help our country because it would all be spent in gift certificates at your local Lockheed Martin and Raytheon outlets. And I'm not buying that. Like, Americans are not better off when we build bombs for Israel and then pay for them and then drop them on people in the Middle East.
You think this has to do with the fact that you've led the push to investigate Jeffrey Epstein, and he's had ties that have been established between intelligence agencies like Mossad?
Well, no, this has a lot to do with the Epstein class. Is it just pure coincidence that one of the 3 big donors against me is in the Epstein files? Organizing an event for Howard Lutnick and shaking down Jeffrey Epstein for money for that event. I think it's pretty interesting. Maybe Miriam.
What's Republican about Massey? He's anti-genocide and anti-Epstein class. That's as good as a progressive in my non-American books. Yeah. Just don't look at anything else. Okay. Pretty much everything else is maximum Republican, right? Like we're talking mass deportations. He's on board with. He loves ICE. He venerates ICE. Oil and gas, drill, baby, drill. Pro-life. Women can't have abortions. Unbelievably anti-LGBTQ. He is, he is a Republican through and through. Okay, down to the goddamn bone. you're kind of ruining the moment when you ask questions like this, because I want to say like he's damn. Oh yeah, tax cuts for the rich, small government, deregulation, all of that good stuff he's on board with. I mean, he's voted with Trump's agenda 91% of the way. He's just literally the only thing he's good on and he's exceptional on. I'm not even going to say good. I'm going to say exceptional is his consistent anti-war position, to be fair, across the board. Like he's one of those kinds of old school Republicans where he wants to incinerate the poor, certainly, but he's one of those guys who's like, oh, why are we spending a lot of money on war? And also definitely very anti-Israel, holding the Epstein class accountable. He's on board with. He's what Ron Paul used to be like, sorry, I was thinking of Rand Paul. Rand Paul is worse than him in many respects. It's kind of crazy. He's Republican Fetterman? No. I think John Fetterman at this point might be worse than he is, because John Fetterman flipped on every single position. So I think Thomas Massie might be better than John Fetterman, actually. Dude, American politics is so busted. It's so fucked up. It's so strange. He doesn't care about tax dollars being spent on Israel. He cares about the existence of tax dollars. I mean, no, he does care about it being spent on Israel for sure. He has definitely been consistently anti-Israel across the board. He's across the board anti-taxes too, but he's definitely also anti-Israel. So yeah, when you look at John Fetterman, I'm almost certain that John Fetterman might be worse than Thomas Massie at this point. Is Fetterman against abortion and gay rights? I guess, has he been? I don't know. I don't think it's been presented to him, because if it had been presented to him, he probably would be, right, at this point. Because guys, not yet, but most likely. And the reason why I say that is because John Fetterman is anti-immigration now. Okay? John Fetterman is anti-immigration. The reason why this is hugely important as far as like what has changed in his mindset is because his website, what is this, securing LGBTQIA rights? I don't think he's still, none of this shit is consistent anymore. Yeah, this is when he was running for office. He's not the same guy who was running for office. I mean, here, let's look at his fucking guaranteeing healthcare, securing LGBT, fighting inflation, lowering costs, promoting American energy, supporting workers in the union way of life, building a humane, safe, and secure immigration system. I fundamentally believe immigration is what makes America great. America. This issue is personal to me. My wife, Giselle, was a dreamer who came to America when she was 7, fleeing violence in Brazil with her family. I would not have my family if it weren't for immigration. He's literally anti-immigration now. That's not true. Fetterman isn't anti-immigration. He is pro-2008 Obama-style immigration. Buddy, you're out of your fucking mind. American immigration attitude has shifted dramatically to the right across the board. I know you're trying to probably make a joke to say, oh, well, Obama was anti-immigrant in 2008, but Barack Obama's anti-immigration came along with DACA protections. It never at any point said that migrants were a national security threat. And on top of that, his deportations were largely on the border, which we can discuss the morality or immorality of such actions as well. I certainly had an issue with Barack Obama's immigration policies. But right now, we have interior removals. With Trump 1, we moved away from just like border stoppages and like direct removal from the border to interior removals. This was a key distinction that happened with Trump 1, okay? In most circumstances, interior removals only happen for edge cases, like, you know, someone who had done a heinous crime, and it happened inside of prisons, inside of the prison systems, right? Trump swapped that, where Trump very openly and very deliberately started doing interior removals for like non-offenders, like for immigrants with like minor crimes and whatnot in Trump 1. Okay. Something that didn't happen prior to that to the same degree. And then under Trump 2, we've moved away from that to mass deportations. Okay. We moved away from that to mass deportations. John Fetterman is in support of doing that. You are now lying about interior removals. My mother was deported under Obama. No, I said, for the record, Homan loved interior removals under Obama. Asked my mom. Apologies, chatter. I said there were interior removals, but the focus was largely on the border. Okay? Never to the same degree as Trump 1. Trump 1 increased interior removals. We have data. Like, we can look at the actual data. Interior removals did happen under Barack Obama as well. And also, I'm not in favor of Barack Obama's immigration policies either. I don't know why you're making it seem like I'm in favor of it. I'm not. Trump shifted the focus. Okay, at first you said Trump changed it as if Obama didn't. Yes, Trump shifted the priorities of ICE to focus largely on interior removals. I wasn't saying Obama's good or Obama didn't do interior removals. I'm saying Trump shifted the focus to offenders and interior removals specifically to change the demographics in a more aggressive manner. Okay? But that was Trump 1. Trump 2 has largely focused on interior removals in a way that even Trump 1 didn't, where they started talking about mass deportations, and the Democrats themselves also openly started saying that immigrants were a national security threat. And once again, there was always, under the Democratic leadership, even though I disagree with the way they handled this, under Democratic leaderships prior to the genuine shift in the way that Democrats communicate, and this happened in 2023. Okay, before then, Democrats would always get something in exchange. Or at least they would say, "Oh, it's tit for tat. Sure, we'll be the deporter in chief, but we'll do DACA." Right? And that was only because of the unbelievable amount of pressure that Dreamers were putting on Obama to get DACA passed. 2023, we just dropped all tit for tat. No more quid pro quo. Just straight up militant, a militant response to immigrants being seen as a national security threat. Right? Like, no shit, someone whose parents got deported is going to be sensitive about this issue. Yes, chatters, you need to fucking dial it back. Okay? There was a misunderstanding, and it's fine. I will use better language. I will use more precise language in the future, chatter. And apologies to your mom getting deported. I didn't mean to, I didn't mean to undermine your experience. Okay? Chatters really need to stop fucking immediately piling on people. That's crazy. Anyway, and John Fetterman's assessment is absolutely not 2008 Barack Obama. It's far beyond that. Because John Fetterman's assessment on immigration now is very different than what he was claiming when he was running for office, saying like, "Oh, my wife is an undocumented immigrant." Like, what the fuck? I wouldn't have a family if it weren't for a safe, humane, amnesty program or something like that. Like, if it wasn't for the Dreamers, like, my wife wouldn't have a citizenship. It's totally ridiculous. Now he's on board with the Trump anti-migrant agenda. That is a much, much more right-wing attitude. Look at this.
Focus on the secure our border, deport all the criminals, and that we can figure out now. And I also say now, some of the agents wearing masks, I think primarily that's driven by people are going to dox those people. That's a serious concern too. Absolutely. They could target their families, and they are organizing these people to put their names out there. So don't ever dox people and target their families too. So that's part of the churn as well now too.
Okay. With the time we have left, I have a couple other topics.
Like folks.
Yeah, that's come on, chatters. That's crazy. That's definitely different. Anyway, the reason why I was saying that is because John Fetterman is literally to the right on virtually every single issue. He is a Republican in every way, shape, or form, and also more pro-Israel, clearly way, way more pro-Israel than Thomas Massie. So in a matchup, in a one-to-one matchup between Thomas Massie and John Fetterman currently, I don't know which one is more technically progressive. I think Massie might literally be a more progressive overall figure than John Fetterman.
Adelson and Paul Singer didn't particularly go to Epstein Island. They probably have enough money to buy their own islands. But they certainly go to dinner with the people that were at Epstein Island.
To Israel interests?
Of course. Like Jeffrey Epstein was part of Mossad's operations and even our own.
Working Families Party came out with a video. This candidate for Congress is running for the people politicians have forgotten. Chris Rabb.
We ready to elect this man to Congress?
Every transformation, every political revolution in this country began as a dream.
If you believe another world is possible, this is our moment. And Chris Rabb, he's our candidate.
Billy, make some noise for Chris Rabb.
This is a moment of abundance. This is radiant love.
Really is like making people enthusiastic about politics again.
A morale boost across the state. We need that.
What are you calling? Rep Rab, that's right. Can I hear that again? You only get a name like that when you are beloved. Couldn't be anybody better for us.
I sat next to him for 6 hours on a bus. A friend of mine got snatched out of his house in the middle of the night by ICE, and we needed somebody to support us, and the first elected official to show up was Chris Rabb.
Come on, stand on your feet and shout it out. Chris Rabb for Congress. Chris Rabb for Congress. Chris Rabb for Congress. Let all of Philadelphia know, Chris Rabb for Congress.
I am all in for Chris Rabb. When he wins, we can change the current state of politics. That's why I'm here. It's hope.
If you're in this building, I believe you already know what time it is, am I right? On primary day, we could be a model for the rest of the country.
So what kind?
I still worry. I feel like everyone is way too confident about Chris Rabb right now. I am still very worried. I know. What is this? Streets campaign DNC is attacking you. Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that. That's great. They should do that. The reason why I'm worrying is because the Democratic Party is pulling off all the fucking stunts, pulling off all the goddamn tricks. And the district is primarily, like, the district has a lot of older black voters, machine politics turnout voters. And when machine politics turnout voters are dialed up in the direction of Sharif Street, that could be a very, very difficult barrier to overcome for Chris Rabb. To maybe lend something to your doubt, there were almost 100% old black women running for Democratic Party committee in my area, and they all supported Street. Yeah. You need to relax and stop worrying. You're too much of a negative Nancy killing the vibe. Dude, I'm just letting you know, okay? The odds are against our boy. You're not trying to put this win or loss on your shoulder, though. You drive yourself crazy doing that shit. No, they didn't. They barely even covered me in this race. I'm not worried about that at all. I think the Democrats are getting smarter about this shit. Days before Tuesday's primary election, anonymous text bombarded Philadelphia's voters with attacks on 3rd Congressional District candidate Chris Rabb, accusing him of spreading conspiracy theories and holding extremist views. The unsigned text violated federal election rules by failing to clearly state who sent them. Philadelphia's Democratic City Committee, which is coordinating with Senator Sharif Street's campaign after he won the official endorsement of the party. Federal Election Commission rules state that the campaign communication to voters, including tests, must identify who paid for it and state that it was authorized by the candidate or campaign. Street spokesperson Anthony Campisi confirmed the origins of the text on Monday, but said the campaign had no control over DCC's communications. The negative text targeting Rabb, a state representative who was one of the 3 frontrunners in the 3rd Congressional District race, were familiar. I don't give a fuck about Kalshi, man. Stop. Kalshi is irrelevant. Guys, every fucking institutional Democrat in the state is out to knife Chris Rabb. Okay? Lock in. It is nowhere near as pretty as you think it is. This is not a sweet and easy ride to victory. He's got tremendous endorsements from every single left group, Working Families Party, DSA. All of this stuff matters. Okay? I wish Bernie had endorsed him, but honestly, I don't even think Bernie has any motion in this race at this point. Chris Rabb, this is a incredibly safe district. It is very it is a very black district. Okay? A lot of older black voters that are lifelong, reliable Democratic Party voters. Okay? But machine politics works in Philadelphia. Okay? The older residents are not to the left wing of the party. No, that's not even the case. Okay? The Philly Dem machine is extremely strong. And it's you're right. Yes, Philly is a black city. The older residents are not to the left wing of the party. That's not even the problem here. Okay? The older black residents are a part of the Democratic Party's turnout machine. So if they literally boost the dial in favor of one opponent of Chris Rabb over the other, like one opponent of Chris Rabb over the other, then it's a real problem. It's not like an ideological predisposition problem. It's more so machine politics. Okay? That's why whenever people were saying, "Oh, like look at how little the rooms that like look at how tiny the audiences Sharif Street is capable of bringing out," you need to look at the demographics. Chris Rabb can fill rooms with a lot of young voters, with a very diverse audience. A decent number of black voters, a decent number of white voters, decent number of voters from every different background. Streets rooms are all elderly black aunties, okay? That is literally the base in Philadelphia. That is the base in Philadelphia, which is why I've been worried from day one. And that base organizes, that base moves, that base goes out and votes, okay? It's true what you're saying about Philly. It's an incredibly controlled city with a very unengaged voter base. It's changing, though, but not as fast as other cities. Negative text targeting Rabb, a state representative who was one of the 3 frontrunners in the 3rd congressional district race, were familiar territory in campaign season that has seen plenty of mudslinging. One text message since deleted social media post made by Rabb that claimed the anti-Semitic attack at Bondi Beach was a false flag. Another references support for leftist political commentator Sam Piker's campaign with Rabb. Others depicted an AI-generated image of Rabb acknowledging his supposed lack of legislative accomplishments in Harrisburg. Chris Rabb has embraced the controversy and online extremism over serious leadership, read one of the unsigned messages. While violations of the FEC disclosure rules typically, by the way, this is the Democratic Party in fucking in the state that's like using me as an attack ad, doing AI attack ads. They're so nasty because Rabb has a good shot at winning this. Okay. Black voters in general tend to be more progressive, but are captured by the Dem establishment. The left has historically failed in building the outreach infrastructure and real inroads in the most progressive demo in the country. Is a big fucking problem. Absolutely. It is one of the number one problems for the left. And it is a structural problem, though. A lot of people think this is because, white liberals or white DSA is too out of touch. That's not the case. Okay. Sure, I'm certain that there are issues. Give Kaida a loving family. She already is in a loving family. But there are structural hurdles. Okay. Church groups, community leaders, they are a profoundly important part of machine politics in every black city in this country. Okay. And they will whip votes in favor of whatever the establishment pick is in every single city. That's it. It's one of the demographics that's most predisposed to the electability arguments. One of the demographics that's the most loyal to the Democratic Party by tremendously large numbers. Breaking through that noise and trying to bring out a candidate requires a lot more mobilization. Lol digging a hole again. Lol, here we go. Don't dig a hole. Lol, doomer. Lol, doomer and not a hoper. Lol, digging a hole again. I'm just saying, it's tough. It's a tough race, a much tougher race than the way people think it is. The white left brushing off critiques and black leftists don't help. That's not, dude, come on. Please be serious for a second. You think like a 65-year-old auntie cares about the minutia between like DSA politics or some like fucking random internet beef? No. I mean, that's serious. That's a part of the problem for sure. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about outreach. The DSA definitely doesn't have enough cachet with actual working people. Oh my fucking God. Shut the fuck up. You're so stupid. That's not true. The DSA is entirely comprised of working class people. It's just what kind of working class people are we talking about? Yes, the DSA doesn't have enough cachet if you think the actual working class is plus 55 people who are about to fucking retire any day now. Okay. Yes, the DSA is not very good at that kind of working class. Every other type of working class, the DSA has tremendous cachet with. Okay. Jesus Christ. These are all tropes. These are all silly, like anti-left arguments. They're utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. What matters is the turnout machine that the Democratic Party has. This is one aspect of their fucking turnout machine that they're utilizing. Anyway, Party Chairman Bob Brady, a former representative of the U.S. Congress, did not respond to a request for comment on Monday. Other political observers viewed the text as a sign of uncertainty ahead of the primary election of Philadelphia. A highly competitive race is unusual in one of the bluest districts in the U.S., and there is still no clear frontrunner among the top three candidates with the election just hours away. For a lot of the older voters, I will say this much. Okay? Like, being loyal to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, this is the one demographic we're saying, like, you love Joe Biden actually fucking works.
Here's a graphic from 2 weeks ago showing every local labor union who's endorsed Senator Street here in Philly. Today, it's over 30 labor union endorsements for the establishment black Muslim candidate. And here's the list of labor union endorsements from the DSA Working Families Party progressive Democrat, Chris Rabb. The rabble-rouser has convinced one.
Ugh, God, this is, the vibes are so fucked with this dude. This dude is like everything that's wrong with the fucking Democratic Party today. Yes, I know. Nancy Pelosi endorsed Connie Chen.
Union to back his campaign. And
yeah, yes, of course all the fucking labor unions endorsed the Democratic Party guy. I don't even want to watch this shit. This pisses me off. Fucking blue MAGA. Rabb, a progressive who has long jockeyed with the local Democratic Party, is running against Street, a moderate state senator and influential party figure. Also running is Alice Stanford, physician with deep-pocketed backing from pro-science super PAC. Outside interest groups have spent millions on television ads and other campaign materials. And that's the story. Be nice to him. He's just a heckin' small bean millennial. I know. I hate looking at stuff like that because it really bums me out that, like, these guys are so deluded, so delusional. Yeah, visual breakdown of the census data for this district. Congressional District PA breakdown is 47% male, 53% female. It's 51% black, more than double the rate of Pennsylvania at 10%. It is a very black district. Age range is 20 to 29 at 18%, 30 to 39 at 18%. It's a relatively young. The 18 to 64 is at 66%. It's a young district. But some of the demographics that are young don't actually turn out. Many of the young voters don't normally turn out, but especially in this district as well. So when you look at the actual, like, voter, the likely voters, the fact that Chris Rabb is actually doing well when youth turnout doesn't even get adequately polled, specifically in primaries like this one, in the midterms, especially because, remember, when you look at who is more likely to go out and vote, if we're talking about the primaries in a safe blue district for the midterms, it's mostly just going to be 65-plus-year-olds, right? So pollsters don't actually poll adequately for youth turnout because there is no data to point to for youth turnout from prior election performances. This is where DSA's door-knocking machine works incredibly well with upset victories. So the fact that Rab is still doing decently well and winning in many of the polls implies that he has a really high likelihood of pulling off a tremendous upset. Okay? Like really good numbers. Because most of those polls have probably not weighed the likelihood of youth turnout being much, much higher than any of us could foresee. So we shall see. I'm obviously very hopeful about it, but my approach is not like, oh, this is in the bag. Okay? I'm hitting the global communism button, bro. Done with your ass? Oh, no. That's not exactly it. Youth sampling is also still very hard to do. A lot of these surveys are done via mail, phone, landline, still or cell. I know. Youth sampling is already difficult. And for the record, this was a very, very hopeful statistic as well. Mamdani's campaign knocked on 1 million doors in a city of 8 million. It's 12.5% of the area's population. Rab's campaign knocked on 100,000 doors in a district of 700,000, which is 14.3% of the area's population. So the turnout machine is in full swing. This is one of those keep running past the finish line type situations, not we've got it, just cruising to first place spot type situations. Yes. And the reality of the matter is insurgent campaigns like Chris Rab's or Abdul Al-Sayed's or any number of different candidates that I'm backing are always going to have an uphill battle, okay? They're always going to have to climb over so many different hurdles. They do not have the institutional backing. They often don't have the adequate endorsements that normally come along with machine politics with that drive turnout for some of the more reliable voters, right? Labor unions, local organizations, church leaders, and the like. So it's always going to be difficult. So you pick losers. Well, one of those losers' name was Zoran Kwame Mamdani. Okay? I don't pick because a candidate is going to be a fucking easy victory. I work with candidates who I align with politically. Okay? The only loser I'm picking on right now is you. They all the same. Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut your bitch ass up. If the Democrats obviously made no distinction between certain insurgent candidates and machine Democratic Party operatives, then they obviously wouldn't be doing these like disgusting little tricks to rat fuck Chris Rab. God, so fucking stupid. It's all the same from where I'm standing, dude. I'm the most intellectually pure, ideologically pure guy. Well, you made the exact opposite argument for the mayor in LA race. What exact opposite argument do you think I'm making for the LA mayor race?
Kind of Democrat will represent the bluest district in America.
I need you to hear me. There's only one way to run, and it's in community. This is a movement. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Status quo, is it working for anyone in this room? No!
We will no longer tolerate a Democrat.
Do you understand, by the way? 50% of the district is black. 50% of that room is not. Do you understand why I'm worried?
Democratic Party more accountable to corporations than working people.
I was with the Democrats for 12 years on the committee and they gaslit me. Working Family Party rules.
I can't stand the Democratic Party machine.
I know Philly loves a good underdog story.
Rep Rab cannot be bought. He went up against the Philadelphia machine. He was not supposed to be here. Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, is the city of abolitionists and organizers in this country.
But Rep Rab doesn't come from the establishment. He is a labor organizer. He is an abolitionist.
Rep Rab is Philadelphia.
Philly deserves Chris Rab because he's a fighter. 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 Philly deserves Chris Rab because he's a fighter.
for the first time in my life, we can actually have a real representative, somebody who actually comes from the people, who represents the people.
And to the billionaire class, we're coming for you. You're not safe. Your money will not protect you. See, we're worried that they're coming for us, but they've always been coming for us. As we're turning the tables, we're coming for you. But I'm here for justice. I'm here for justice. And if you're an enemy of justice, you're an enemy of mine.
These regular people can win. Did you hear me?
And on May 19th, they're gonna hear from all of us, aren't they?
We are on the precipice of an extraordinary victory.
They are scared because they see what is being built.
We have to win this election, and the only way we can win it is for all of us to get our heads in the game. So Philadelphia, let's make this happen.
For Congress, glory be to God. All power to all the people. Let's win for working folk on Tuesday. Let's get it done. I didn't know that this would happen because you all keep showing up for me.
You will have an opportunity to send this man to Congress, Christopher Rabb.
This is our time, and we will build and rebuild as many times as possible because freedom is a place we make together.
This is an attempt to dilute my vote.
It's called redistricting, and it's redefining America.
It's unconstitutional, it's unfair, and they're trying to suppress the black vote.
Is Donald Trump tearing up civil rights to boost his chances of holding on to power?
This is white supremacy, straight up white supremacy.
To answer that question, we've come to the Deep South, to Memphis, Tennessee, home of the blues. But it's being forced red by the redrawing of election maps in midterm election year. A process that has wiped out the only majority black voting district in this entire state.
I never thought that I would be in a position where I'm fighting for the rights that my grandparents and my great-grandparents already fought for.
Split down the middle, this is Shotwell Street, the latest dividing line in America. 9th District, the only Democratic seat here, has been carved up to benefit Republicans. But it's the only majority black district in Tennessee.
They try to dress it up, that this is about politics and numbers. No, it's about politics and racism.
Voters choose representation. Representatives don't choose voters.
Dr. King was shot at the Lorraine Motel.
They've been here before. This community knows all about struggle. It was here that Martin Luther King gave his last speech and breathed his last breath.
And the shot rang out. Kapow!
District 9 is holy ground to the civil rights movement.
How do you feel about the fact that it's happening in the very district where your father paid the ultimate price?
I mean, voting is fundamental to what democracy represents. So as it relates to my father particularly, yes, he was there in Memphis and was gunned down in Memphis. So it is like a devastating blow.
Hopes of the past now replaced by fears of the present. Fears that this city is losing its soul.
Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Old times here are not forgotten. And there are a lot of people, especially in the rural areas, which is the MAGA areas and the Republican areas, that have never forgotten the Civil War. They've never gotten over it.
The future's unclear for his constituents. Steve Cohen is the congressman whose seat's been commandeered.
He's evil incarnate. And he wants these seats. The most evil, degenerate, thieving president in the history of the United States.
Both parties are scrambling to redraw maps, but the president is winning this race, backed by the Supreme Court.
That's the kind of ruling I like. Some states don't need to redraw, and some do.
Republicans have added most seats, making it much harder for Democrats to flip the House of Representatives in November.
President Trump has been very integral in this whole process.
Trump ally Brent Taylor now sees a seat for the taking.
We drew these boundaries for political purposes. We want to maintain the Republican majority in Congress. That's not a secret.
But redistricting means much more than politics in a place like this.
Memphis is a 64% black city. It's the blackest city in the entire country. And to combine it with the same district that the Ku Klux Klan was founded in is truly unconscionable.
But there are two sides to this story. So we headed east to a place of politics and prayer.
Lord, I ask that you be with us as we seek to do the things that need to be done to make it a better place to live.
The monthly meeting of Republicans in Bolivar. They are right behind their president's power move and reject claims of racism.
I think people assume whites are voting one way and blacks are voting another way, and it's not true.
I think everybody's trying to win, and it's gamesmanship now. If you believe you're right and you want to win and do the right thing, you're going to do everything in the world to retain power and win.
We've got people on both sides of the line, a lot of friends that are on both sides of that line, but really I would love to see just everyone come together and serve what's best or do what's best for Tennessee.
Bolivar is 70 miles from Memphis. They're now in the same voting district, but there's a world of difference between them. When the sun goes down in one, the lights come up in the other.
From blues to country to rock and roll, the music of Memphis is its own map of American history. But the city of Elvis, B.B. King and Otis Redding is getting a political makeover, and there's nothing these streets can do about it. This is Donald Trump's town now, and in his quest to hold on to power, it's now or never.
When she's gone too long.
David Blevins, Sky News in Memphis.
This morning, sources say the president is one step closer to creating a new $1.7 billion fund of taxpayer money to pay his allies. ABC News learning the president is expected to settle a $10 billion lawsuit he brought against his own government as early as today. Sources say as part of the deal, the president would drop the suit in exchange for a commission to pay Trump allies who claim they were mistreated by the Biden administration. One group that could benefit from that, the rioters.
By the way, it's not. It's a slush fund. So he's lying about that too. I mean, that doesn't make it any better, but it is very funny that he's lying about a thing that doesn't even make it better. It's just a straight up slush fund for Donald Trump to use as he sees fit. These are people who belong in prison. It's ridiculous. This is the United States of America, though. This is what we're doing. This is what we're dealing with. Fucking awesome, dude. January 6th reparations fund. A payout for terrorism. Yeah, this is Trump just dunking on us. That's what it is. He's pooping on us.
Who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. The president sued the IRS earlier this year, claiming damages from the leak of his tax returns in 2019. He has also sued his own Justice Department for $230 million for investigations he faced during the Biden administration. An American president has never sued his own administration, something the president acknowledged last fall.
It's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And, that decision would have to go across my desk.
Sources say the president would have control over who runs the commission and the authority to remove members without cause, and that the commission would not be required to disclose to the American people how it runs or its decision-making process. Most Republicans staying silent, but some moderates shocked.
I don't even know how that's allowable to happen.
Democrats calling it an abuse of power.
It's outright corruption. What we're seeing here is outright corruption.
Only Congress has the power to appropriate money, and Congress never voted on creating this $1.7 billion political slush fund at the Department of Justice, and Congress would never pass that.
So sources caution that the details of this plan are not finalized until publicly announced. In a statement, the president's legal team says that the president continues to hold those who wrong America accountable. The Justice Department declined to comment, George.
No question this will head to the courts. Okay, Rachel, thanks very much.
Again, this is taxpayer money. Taxpayer money.
From President Trump. Here we have this tweet from Trey Yink saying President Trump says he is holding off on a scheduled attack of Iran at the request of Gulf leaders. Now, we have the Truth Social post here on the monitor here from President Trump saying this: I have been asked by the Emir of Qatar, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and the President of the United Arab Emirates to hold off on our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow, in that serious negotiations are now taking place, and that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made which will be very acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all.
This is not a boss call. This is Trump trying to make it seem like he's not bargaining from a position of weakness. That's all this is. He's like, oh, I was going to attack again, but I'm not because all these regional allies demanded I don't. So I'm just listening to them. When in fact, this is him tacoing again.
Countries in the Middle East and beyond. This deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran, all caps. Based on my respect for the above-mentioned leaders, I have instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Daniel Kane, and the United States military that we will not be doing the scheduled attack of Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault of Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Again, President Trump putting there on Truth Social, making the announcement that he has called off a scheduled offensive on Iran and will instead be continuing negotiations at the request of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates.
There is no further threat. Both suspects in this case are deceased.
This is the San Diego situation. Trump on Ebola, I'm concerned. Yes, I know Candace Owens with Hunter Biden is coming out on Thursday. I wanted to show you more fucking MAGA is a cult commentary.
That it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years. It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to.
Yeah. That's what the Lord is predisposed with. Building a fucking ballroom, dude. Incredible. Anyway, Iranian officials said to Donald Trump's response this morning, as Iran previously stated, it has no intention to build nuclear weapons. This claim is just an excuse and deception by Americans at this point. This point is also emphasized in the new text. Trump, this deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran. He just keeps dancing around the nuclear weapons thing as though he's making tremendous gains there, when in fact it's not even a significant point of contention. What is this? Oh, this was the Trump statement from that same religious conference, by the way.
Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
And that's why we're building the ballroom.
Now my eyes shall be open and my ears attent to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for you, if you will walk before me, as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and shall observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of my kingdom according to as I have covenanted with David your father, saying, there shall not fail you as a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up from the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among.
Why is everybody saying fucking AI, dude? Why? I can't tell if you guys are like joking because you think Trump is like incapable of reading or something, because it is. It's not, man. It's not fucking AI. Jesus Christ. No way he got John before you. Oh, Matan.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Why is this shocking to you? No, I mean, we've been in contact with his team. He's just, I don't know. He's not going to do, I mean, he says he's going to do it, but I don't think he is. There's something off about it.
Damn, this guy's good.